Welcome everyone to day number 2 of our coverage of the VCS players. We are in round 2 and day 2, which means another best of 5 is ahead of us. We have Team Wales against Team Secret today on the menu, and with me are Milky and Rebel, and of course I pointed to the wrong direction because it's mirrored, so I'm very stupid not accounting for that. Welcome and good morning to the both of you. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be called Rebel. That's saying that I'm intelligent, which I'll take
That's
as a
not
win.
true. That's not true. No, I'll dive on the grenade, say I'm not intelligent just to make sure that you get punished a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to have everybody back. It's been an entire split. This is the longest we've gone without covering VCS, and it's nice that everybody was able to get back together for playoffs to do some more coverage. So this is now my second game, so now I'm the most experienced.
You are indeed. Tell us about series number 1, because it happened yesterday. The first time we went back. Of course, last week we already had round 1, which is sort of the play-in stage, so we kind of just skipped over it. But yeah, the big teams came in yesterday. GAM finally played number 1 seed against Saigon Buffalo. How did it go, Rebel?
Yeah, so to be 100% honest, like if you look at the scoreline and you go, hey, like GAM beat Saigon Buffalo 3-1, that's already a little like, probably shouldn't happen. Should have been GAM 3-0, but it wasn't the biggest deal. But like watching the series, Saigon Buffalo easily outplayed more than anything else. Like GAM is better in a lot of ways, and so it was a lot harder. But like Saigon Buffalo clearly was playing for a win in all 4 games, and GAM in a lot of circumstances was not. And I'm hoping they get more competitive as the tournament kind of continues onward, because that was not the greatest of showing in the world. Not to mention, it was nice to see Blazes come back out and have an absolute amazing performance in game number 1. So for anybody who doesn't know, Blaze is back. He took the place of Froggy. Froggy came in during the late push in the series, and don't pick Nocturne. That's what I got. At least Saigon Buffalo's not allowed to pick Nocturne. But otherwise, I mean, GAM is into the next round, and Saigon Buffalo went down to, I think they play Cerberus after this. So that's exciting.
GAM versus Cerberus, a reshowing of what is it? 2021 Winter Finals?
I mean,
Saigon Buffalo versus Cerberus.
Yeah, Saigon Buffalo against Cerberus actually always ended with Saigon Buffalo winning, so maybe that's a good sign for them. They were kind of the ones blocking Artemis from the final over and over again years past. So hopefully that's a bright future for Shogun's team. I'm still a bit salty that he's stuck on this team, but let's see what he can do in the lower bracket. Now, on the other side of the of things, we have Team Secret today after winning a reverse sweep last week against Cerberus themselves. And today they're facing off against Team Wales. And Wales is a little bit of an interesting team coming in, especially with their history. Milky, walk us through their season so far.
So, Team Wales. And let's start kind of towards the earlier part of the year, where we think back to last year, obviously the likes of myself and Marby, big Team Wales fans. And then they got the one upgrade everyone wanted to see, which was they sent Vit packing and they brought in the best ADC in the league. I will not take any other opinions on this. Artemis came in, used to be the ADC for Cerberus, absolute mastermind, and pairing with him was B, the best support in the league from GAM. Things look good. Sadly, though, spring didn't go so well. Then coming into summer, bit of a change in the jungle. Killer Queen left. In came BJ from Saigon Buffalo. Season started really well. They went 8 series 1. Didn't drop a single series. What did they do after that? They dropped 4 series in a row. This team has not won a series since, I believe, the 21st of July. So they're on a bit of a drought.
And they haven't played in quite a while, right? Because they skipped round number 1, so they're a little bit of a wild card today. They should be favorites, but then again, Secret has a big momentum behind them after winning that reverse sweep. So it's maybe it's a bit early for prediction, but let's just jump there. I want to hear what the two of you think about this series. Who's going to win, Rebel? First.
I still think that while Team Secret had a really good series against Cerberus is still green beyond comparison. Like, it wasn't the most impressive win in the world. Let's be real here. There's 6 teams in playoffs, and there's 7 teams in the VCS. And they were playing probably the team that was 5th or 6th place, like, if we're being real. Like, ignoring the standings, ignoring the fact that Cerberus went absolutely bananas in their final week, beating both Wales and GAM somehow. Like they probably just had a bone thrown to them, and then they lost to Team Secret in a reverse. I don't think Team Secret has been up to snuff this split, and that pains me because I love a lot of the players on this team. Like, I mean, Hazmet's here and Hero's here, and then like Taki. I think Eddie's had a better split. Kiang is a pretty impressive rookie, but they are not, in theory, up to the level of Wales, even though Wales has not had a great end of the split. So my expectation is probably Wales fumbles a game or two, but it should still be a Wales win here.
Well, we all know that there are a few rules within the VCS. One of those rules is the fact that we can't go a series without seeing either Alistair or Renekton being picked. And the other rule is that I have to disagree with Rebel. So that means that I'm on the side of Team Secret. They had a really good end to the regular season. I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen the series against Cerberus, but I'm going to say they beat Cerberus. They've still got the momentum, and Team Wales are going to have to drop down to the lower bracket.
That would be the first big surprise, I feel like, of this players, considering Wales, even though they dropped 4 series in a row, they're still number 2 seed, and they were fighting for the number 1 seed for a very long time. They have star players in every position. Maybe the first time, actually, in recent history, that a team has more star players and more star power than GAM themselves, you could argue. I mean, depends on how much star power you put on Kiaya and Levi, I suppose. But yeah, they have big names in their team, so... I'm really excited to see what they bring. So let's actually go closer to the in-game that we're going to see soon and focus on the patch, because we haven't seen VCS in quite some time, obviously yesterday, but for the summer season, there weren't super big changes compared to spring, so it wasn't like, it's not a completely different game, but what are the champions we should look out for today?
That was on you, Rebel. Don't look at me.
That was on me. I talked first the last 2 times, so technically it was your turn to talk. Is how this
I can give the intro, and then you can tell everyone how I'm wrong and give the actual champions if you want.
I'm not going to do that because it's just not true. Go ahead. What do you think?
Right. So, as I mentioned before, it's the VCS. It doesn't matter what the meta is. We're going to be seeing Renekton. We're going to be seeing Alistair. And we're probably going to be seeing Lee Sin / Wukong. That being said, we've been seeing a fair bit of Sejuani, Maokai, those kind of tanky enabling junglers being picked up. Both supports also playing a lot of Rakan, especially expect to be seeing that from the likes of B. And Zai is either going to be getting first picked or is going to be getting banned by Red side, I'd say.
Yeah, something I've really liked about the playoffs is that we had for the longest time this insane kind of meta established in the jungle where it was like Wukong and it was Vi and it was Maokai, and that was pretty much it. And then Sejuani started creeping in. And then support was kind of the same way where you had the same number of enchanters, and bot lane is always the same where it's like Xayah and Kai'Sa and Zeri, and that's pretty much it. But the cool part is, as playoffs has kind of ticked on, it's more about finding ways to interact with those champions in positive fashion. So you got like Lucian and Aphelios and Ezreal and Nyla and Varus that are champions that have good win rates, right? And then you've got like yesterday, we saw not just the Alistar, which was like one of the most picked because Slay plays it all the time. So like that's the reason that we're seeing it all the time. But like Zyra was picked as like a really good bot lane pairing, and they got a bunch of gold, but then he went Radiant Virtue and threw it away, which kind of sucks. But like there's still like he went Radiant Virtue. I could talk through the tech. I could talk through the tech, but it's not worth talking through because it was pretty bad.
Don't worry, we'll have plenty of pauses during the series for you to break down.
If we get another Zyra, but like that's the idea. So like we have some cool picks that are coming in as counteractions to other people's champions, right? And that to me is been the number one thing. Then of course you have like the Nocturne and the Rel and the Ivern who weren't played all the time during the regular split that are starting to pop in. And then like Renekton is starting to pop up. Renekton's actually so popular not only around the world but in the VCS that Ryuk literally got lifted out of the abyss to play for Box Esports in the final 3 weeks of competition. And he actually won 3 games. He won more games than Hero did in top lane this split, which is a crazy stat to think about. So like you're getting some cool new champions that are being tested against the tried and true meta that we had for most of the split, which I think is probably one of the first times I've seen the VCS actually stick to that game plan.
I'm very happy to hear that. I mean, to be fair to Ryuk, if you have to choose a champion to main, Renekton is not a bad champion to choose. Like, he's always meta for some reason. But I wanted to hone in on one champion you mentioned, because I also saw this in the stats right in front of my eyes here. I'm very curious as to why VCS seems to prefer Rel as a support compared to many of the other regions I've been watching sporadically where Rel is much more of a jungler, especially in China. I feel like Rel is played in the jungle more often than not. So I'm only seeing 2 Rel games here for Qiang, and not a single Rel game for BJ, while their supports both have 6 or 5 Rel games. So it's much more of a support champion here in the VCS. I guess junglers don't really want to sacrifice their individual, their fighting abilities, because Rel is more of a scaler tank late game champion, or mid game engaged champion.
I think what it is it's being used pretty well as a flex champion, but the other portion is who is playing it. So first off, it's Elio, and Elio plays it, and Elio is bad. Like, Elio sucks at a lot of champions. I think you guys know, Elio was one of the worst performing supports of the split. I'll be direct about that, even though he was on the, like, 4th best team or something like that. As the split went on, he found out that, like, Rel and some of the engaged champions were not bad, so he kind of shook off the rust instead of playing the Enchantery meta, so he's playing more like melee champions. And the Rel was something that's, like, he was good at it before when it wasn't a good champion. Now that it's a good champion, he's actually, like, pretty damn good on it. In fact, that's the whole reason they won 2 games against Team Secret, is they had the bot lane Rel alongside Paishiro, which is kind of cool.
And with that, we are going to go into draft. Sorry, Milky, you get to talk right now.
I'll hold off on that point then, Rebel. We are heading in to picks and bans. That LeBlanc is something that I do want to touch on. And I'm actually surprised it's being banned by the side of Team Secret, because it's actually Hero who had a very good game on the champion. What was it, last week?
Yeah. I mean, I heard it. I hate to tear off the bandage, but most mid laners can play that champion to a pretty high degree, including Glory. Yeah. So the last thing you want to do is give it over on the first pick. The Jace wasn't prioritized yesterday. Today they're prioritizing it. Like, Sparta plays it, Glory plays it, Hero plays it, Hazmed plays it. Heck, I think probably you could end up flexing it into a jungle role if you really needed to in a game like this too. So like, it's kind of wild that champion got very, very little attention yesterday, but it should get a lot more today.
Speaking of attention, when we think about Team Wells and we think about Team Secret, these are 2 teams that love to focus around the mid lane. Glory and Hero have the highest stats in the mid lane of any other mid laner in the league, and Team Wells locking in the Azir has been one of the most played champions for Glory this split.
Yeah, further, the other big thing is that Hero has not showed the most ridiculous champion pool in terms of mages out of the mid lane quite yet. And so Hero's only real true mage was Azir, and it didn't do great. But that's the comfort that you're trying to get for Hero if you need to play into another mage. So, like, don't expect him to pull out, like, Xerath or Vel'Koz or something here unless he has been really slamming some new tech over the last 1 week of play. That's why taking things like the Jace and the Tristana and the LeBlanc off the board is so interesting, because Hero has been thriving on some of the more AD and top lane type champions. So I'm curious whether or not we end up getting some kind of flex with, like, is there an Ivern on the way? Is there going to be a Lucian on the way? And it doesn't seem like it, because now Nico's been locked in as some kind of response to the Azir here.
I'm actually amazed to see a VCS team first pick a champion away from the enemy team instead of going meta, like global meta thinking. That is so cool to see. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the Azir first pick, I have to say. But if it's just to cripple Hero and draft them, maybe it can work. I like this. Why is Zarya still open here? Especially with Artemis and B being such big Zarya Rakan players, this is very strange to me.
The interesting thing, though, is that the Kai'Sa is up, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Rebel, but Kai'Sa, I would imagine, pairs quite well with the Rel, or even if Team Secret wants, they could put Qiang on the Rel and lock in something like the Nautilus or the VCS specialty of Alistar for Taki.
Don't talk to me about Kai'Sa. I hate Kai'Sa. That champion can rot for the next 5 years, and I still won't want to see it in professional play. The thing is that we've seen some wacky Kai'Sa builds. Like yesterday, I think it was Slater that built Duskblade Kai'Sa, and that's not even that weird, which is just, like, ridiculous. That there's, like, AP variants, there's AD variants, there's Stridebreaker variants. I prefer to see the Zeri just because, again, the champion's been meta since she came out. I'm just kind of sick of watching her play all the time. And so Zeri, I think, also helps out. It keeps you away. If you end up going for Kai'Sa, you're kind of looking at like an AD champion, so you can take advantage of the additional plasma stacking, and it more or less suggests some Rel. And if not, then you're giving B an option to play like an Enchanter into a melee support on bot side if that's your intention. So this, to me, at least keeps open the possibility of like Zeri Lulu or something like that. So not only is it a draft advantage, but also, again, I think it's a lot harder to read the chessboard here for the side of Wales.
Surely you ban away the Rakan here if you're Team Secret, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can't allow the Lovers duo to be present for the side of Team Wales, and one of B's most play champions. It's one of his most proficient champions as well. One thing that is still open, top lane. I have seen every now and then Sejuani being flexed into the top lane. I don't think that's going to be the case for Sparta. What do you both think we might be seeing for Sparta and Harsman?
Well, Renekton is banned, so that's out of the question.
Dante Sion.
Cassandra, yeah, Cassandra, Jax. Jax is still open, which is
Jax is still open. Sion is still open and actually is really good for Hausman. He's been a pretty damn good Sion player most of the split. Although, for some reason, everybody's kind of fallen off of Sion, even though it flexed into the jungle and there were some good junglers on the Sion. People just stopped playing it. To me, though, Hausman is the only one that would keep that in the pool for sure. Oh, they didn't ban out Rakan. Again, if they're not banning out Rakan, to me that suggests Lulu's on the way. Like, that's got to be what the pick means.
That's risky, though. They don't have the Poppy as the easiest Rakan counter, so... This is a very strange... I mean, they could still flex the Rel into jungle and just pick Rakan themselves here. Possible.
I was about to suggest that myself. We've talked about that Rel flexibility. We were expecting it to go into the hands of Taki, but again, that's why we have flex picks. You can decide what you want when the time comes for it, and Team Secret taking their time over this pick.
That's the famous 0 seconds extending for 10 more. But there's the Rakan pick as anticipated. So now Wales has to adapt. Enchant Desire can work quite well, especially with big frontline and peel. But you kind of run into the range trouble, right? So maybe it's not... What is happening now?
Wait, what?
I don't think so, VCS. I don't think so.
There it is. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still trying to get over that. I was going to suggest maybe Leona or Thresh, but I guess Nautilus kind of fits the same.
I don't like it against like Nico and Rel, but I don't mind it against Zeri because it's just instant one-click lockdown for Zeri. I don't think that's not the most like well-rounded champion of all time to put into this position. But again, I don't think they need to be anything too crazy right here. Ooh, we go back to Aatrox. That
Razor angle.
On a team. Yeah, we love that.
Oh my god, I've not seen an Aatrox in so long.
Wait, what? He was
Aatrox
like
is like hyper meta. Yeah, Aatrox is like hyper meta right now. And also, I like the fact that it went this long is wild because both these guys play Aatrox, but it is a Hosmed special. Like Hosmed's one of the best Aatroxes we usually have from back in his Raizo days. So I was like, okay, yeah, that makes some sense. I was between that and then just going for tank if you wanted to play tank for the rest of the team, but I appreciate that they're going for something aggressive to kick off.
Oh.
Rebels died.
Yeah, Rebel's not allowed to finish
his camera died. To be fair, though, between the pair of them, this split, we've only actually seen one Aatrox game, which was from Harsmed, which he has lost. So Rebel, as you mentioned, Aatrox is a bit of a Harsmed specialty. I don't think it's possible for him to go an entire split without winning a game on Aatrox. So, game one for Team Secret?
No.
I actually prefer their draft, I feel like. But I'm not sure if that's enough to sway my opinion of the players, because I still expect Wales to just be like 50% better on average. But maybe this is the game to win it, especially if they can find a good advantage on the Aatrox against Jax matchup, a very volatile top lane matchup. If Aatrox gets going, Jax is under tower and can never leave that. But we are onto the Rift, and I'll leave you to it, so take it away. Game number 1.
Thank you, Yulway. Onto the Rift, we will go Rebel. My first time on the Rift for VCS for quite a few months. I want to talk about kind of win conditions, what we can expect to see from our junglers. We touched a little bit about this Aatrox and the Jax in the top lane. Is that where we're expecting to see Kiang and BJ focusing their attention?
I actually kind of think that's the case, yeah. Which is a little wild to think about because yesterday we got very little topside attention, which was surprising because the amount of... Like, if I said to you that Coded was playing and he was playing against Kiaya, how would you suspect that game to have gone?
There's a 10% chance that Coded pops off the face of the earth and dominates, but 90% chance that he gets way too greedy and Kiaya ends up getting turbo-fed.
Okay, so 4 straight games, we literally were calling him goated because of how well he was playing him yesterday.
Okay.
Because it was, and 3 of them were Kasate games. One of them was a Rumble game, and he had I wouldn't say great Rumble Ultimates, but maybe above average Rumble Ultimates. And the whole point of this discussion is that yesterday we got very little top lane attention. I think there was like one gank all day. In this game now, you're looking at Xayah Nautilus against the Zeri and the Rakan. Until 6, there's not the easiest way for these two to really interact with one another, because then B's got the ultimate to be able to kind of bully against Taki and then also lock down Eddie directly. You have like the safety of Artemis's ultimate as well. You got like the bonus damage from Eddie. Like, you have all these extra tools at 6. So I almost suspect both of them to go to top side and play more around this like Aatrox Jax matchup, maybe around the mid lane matchup a little bit, because Glory should have some additional poking pressure against this Nico at the beginning of the game too. So there's more, I think, fruit on the vine here at the beginning of the game towards the top side of the map. And the junglers agree with me, because both of them start pathing up, which is not something we saw any junglers do yesterday, like at all.
And to kind of follow up on this point about how much action and how much attention we might see towards the top side for maybe some of our viewers who are a little bit newer to the VCS, explain to them, Rebel, why we love supports like particularly B and Taki as well, and what makes them really unique and super cool to watch.
I mean, why we love B is because B is probably the most well-rounded support that we have inside of the VCS when it comes to both champion pool, when it comes to gameplay, and when it comes to in-game leadership. We've had a bunch that kind of do everything. We always thought of Rano P as kind of like the in-game leadership, Xin is the in-game leadership, but maybe don't have like the hands to match. We always think of like Taki as like the innovator, in the same way Slay kind of filled in this split for Saigon Buffalo. He actually did it yesterday, where they're playing kind of unique champions and they're getting a little bit more of like not only draft capital, but also kind of just like unique champion capital, and sometimes being able to put resource into your support is a very unique thing that other teams aren't able to match. But the reason why we love B is because B kind of does everything. He's got his unique champions, he's got a lot of individual gameplay experience, he's got good hands, but also beyond all of that, he's a great in-game leader, which is why he was such a cool addition to this roster, something that they desperately needed on Team Wales. And then further than that, why we love Taki, I already talked about, he's the innovator. He's the guy that played the Camille support. He's the guy that plays the Rumble and stole that away from Keria. I mean, he's just the guy when it comes to random cool champions here this split. He hasn't done it nearly as much on Team Secret. I think part of that is that, again, Saigon Buffalo kind of built a game plan around the fact that Taki did that, and I don't think Team Secret has that same kind of unique property to their drafting. At least they haven't been able to use it yet.
Oh, Sparta already going very low on the Jax is going to be forced to recall and teleport back in, and Kiang's going to hop over the wall. No, never mind, just drops the ward, will recall. 4 minutes in, and Rebel, I find it very strange. It's been a while since I cast a VCS, but I swear by now we usually have about 6 kills. Yeah,
this happened yesterday too. We actually, in our game 1, we went 15 minutes without a first blood, which is wild to think about. We didn't even have more than like a 200, 300 gold separation between the two teams until 14, 15 minutes into the game, which was just, whew, like that was a little bit wild. Now, as the games went on, we got a little bit more degenerate. We had more of that VCS action. But I think teams are kind of, they're feeling each other out a little bit at the beginning of these games, playing a little bit more reserved to begin with, instead a little more off the cuff to begin with, which is the opposite of what we're typically accustomed to, both in playoff series, but also here in the VCS. Okay, we got both junglers here, but the double hover should mean nothing. Yeah.
Taki went for a quick trade onto Artemis, used the Ignite, and both Artemis and Taki down to about half health. Kiang made his way down, but B&J was there already, ready in response, and Sparta has returned to the top lane, didn't use his teleport, and somehow actually the CS very even between our two top laners.
Yeah, well, they're feeling pretty good about the way that this has gone. Somehow, despite the fact that Wales at the beginning of this one, with like the Zeri transformation and with Aatrox having like just an unreal health advantage through the laning phase, somehow Sparta and Glory are both doing fine in terms of their CS right now. Bottom lane as well is like, they're down about 10 minions. They should crash and get whatever's left there, probably down about 4 or 5. Ooh. Wait,
okay, Hero with a flash engage. Really nice Emperor's Divide to deny the engage from Kiang. Glory survives. Hero with a very nice engage.
Insane instincts by Glory just to throw up the wall as soon as he has any kind of inkling whatsoever that Rel is going to be coming in from the north side of the map right there. As again, Hero popping the ultimate, going invisible, flashing forward, getting the stun down with the spear, but then getting walled off was Kiang. And Glory didn't even have to flash to get out of that situation. It's about time we should talk about the fact that Glory was actually the #1 MVP votes recipient of the entire split, because he was playing some amazing League of Legends. For the first time ever, Glory has like an insane team around him to be able to play with, because normally he's on like teams that have like good players or like not bad players. It's like, okay, like, yeah, they're not the greatest team, but Glory makes them a little better. We always talk about Glory being a diamond in the rough, and like, he's pretty good, but like it's kind of hard to tell. This is the first time he's been on what I would consider to be like a super team, and he's actually playing even better League of Legends than I think we've ever seen him play in his career, which is really, really beneficial because we need some new mid laners to kind of stand up and go against Kadi. And so this split, Glory has been the one that's been able to do it better than just about anyone else.
Well, I think back as well to Spring Split, and when we had Team Wales facing against Team Secret, we were looking, okay, these are the two teams that have the strongest mid-jungle 2v2. At the time for Team Wales, it was Glory and Killer Queen. For the side of Team Secret, it was Artifact and Penguin. And I feel like we're still in that similar kind of situation I briefly mentioned during the analyst desk, how strong the laning statistics are for both Glory and Hero. And now something to mention is, this is a Nico now without Flash. Should we be expecting BJ to be looking towards the mid lane and trying to get some kills onto Glory's Azir?
I'm going to assume no, because you can block a lot of the CC by utilizing the Shadow from Nico. So, like, you throw out the thing and you block most of Sejuani's damage. You knock the dash down, you knock the dash in from Azir. So unless Hero gets just, like, the dirtiest shuffle of all time on a Hero, I doubt we're going to be focusing anything. But if you look, I mean, he's up to 10 CS right now. He should have some river pressure. I'm a little surprised right now that Team Secret's able to step off the wave to step into river, because right now, BJ is kind of beelining down here. Taki's in the river alongside Yang. But neither one of them have the damage to be able to spike this down. So if they get into river, yeah, B actually sniffs this out. And again, Azir's should be here with better wave priority over top of Nico. But Hero's kind of just sacking the wave to make sure that they're here first.
Dredgeline, the start of the flight. Glacial Prism will land onto Taki, but it's the first kill going the way of Eddie. And Emperor's Divide onto 3. Can Glory clean up the fight? Eddie falls over the wall. BJ follows in pursuit. BJ is solo, and Eddie will survive, but Glory just can't clean up the fight. Hero is low, so is Taki. The Grand exit out to safety, 1-for-1 in the river. But it is Team Secret who get the first blood, fighting over on the top side. Sparta flashing out of the Aatrox attacks and will be able to survive.
Man, it's really unfortunate because it's not going to look anything good on the stat sheet to be able to watch this. It's just a 1-for-1 where actually the gold's going to go in advantage of Team Secret for now. But the fact that afterwards there's going to be a ton of benefit here because B gets this first hook, goes down very early. But look at the way the rest of the fight actually plays out. I'm really upset with Artemis because at no point, right there is the feather pull. If you're patient and you pop your ultimate, you get this absolute death warrant all the way up with this ultimate coming through from Azir. Instead throws the ultimate this way, doesn't have the recall to be able to pull in feathers and execute Eddie, so he just kind of wastes so much damage. It feels like there could have been like a 3-4 person execute if just a little better communication came out from Artemis and Glory. But still, it's an incredible play from them, being able to stop the dragon, clean up an additional kill, and they're actually right back to dragon immediately because they are the ones that had the presence on the map.
And Team Secret will not be able to contest Team Wales, as we have a little bit of a buffering situation. B, will he throw out the dredge line towards Taki? Well, he will, but Taki has already jumped back to the safety of Eddie.
Yeah, I kind of like where we're at right now for Team Wales as a result, because they made a good call right there. But more importantly, it's something that we didn't talk about. I'll hang out for a second. Taki should be fine. The wraparound from BJ is something to watch for. And actually, there's a come down from... Oh, Glory's going to turn right back. Yeah, they're not going to go for a dive or anything crazy. But the big thing I was going to talk about is the laning advantages that came out from top and mid. We already discussed a little bit. There wasn't a massive bot lane laning advantage, but also it's a cull that came out for Artemis, which means that now that he's got like a kill under his belt, he's got the cull that's going to be fully stacked. He's going to have first item and boots here pretty quickly. And once the Kraken Slayer is done, I mean, fights like that are going to look a lot better. Artemis is going to be able to put in a lot more DPS than what he did just in that one fight. So they kind of got through the thick of it. They got Artemis over this first kind of power spike hump that they really needed him to be in so that he could provide all the DPS that they need for fights like around this dragon. So next Rift Herald that's going to pop up, next dragon that's going to pop up, if they want to do the same thing, I think they're finally going to be allowed to do so.
And that is one thing that I do like to talk about, kind of item spikes for different champions. And when you look towards this Zeri versus Xayah matchup, as Hero needs to be a bit careful. He's going to back, but he's right in the waiting arms of B. Of course, he doesn't know that B is there. B, did he throw out a dredge line? No, he didn't.
No, he did not.
But to go back to the point, we talk about Xayah Zeri. Late game, Zeri's going to be an absolute monster, but when we're on, 1-2 items, Artemis is going to definitely have a significant advantage on the champion.
See, I see like a decent amount. Oh, I'm gonna hold this because Sparta's actually getting just beaten down by Hosmed, and Kiang is
He's just
right
going to die
behind
to the
him.
1v1. Flash forward. Hasmed said, Kiang, you are having no part of this. I'm going to take the kill and take the dominance in the top lane.
See, it was really weird in the middle of the split because if you go back and you watch like the first 3 series from the side of Team Secret, you would actually be very convinced that Artifact was having yet another MVP split. And out of nowhere, he kind of just bounced. Yeah, I was waiting once again. And so in the middle of the split, they had this really weird awakening on the side of Team Secret that they weren't having the success that they wanted, and they needed to figure out something to work on. And they came to the conclusion that mid lane just was probably the right place to go. And I don't think I disagree with them after having watched what the kind of regression that happened out of mid lane for what seemed like no reason. I'm not sure if there's a reason for it, but they tried their rookie, they tried a couple of different things, and eventually it was Hero going down into the mid lane rather than trying to swap out top laners as BJ.
A little deep, getting collapsed on by 3. Eddie here as well, and Hero will take the spoils of war.
Yeah, there's 4 members on him. The move out, they give up bot lane push where Artemis probably is going to be able to pick up at least a plate here, if not a second plate on this tower. And the exchange is that they do get that kill out of the mid lane, which is great. That's fantastic. But it's a question of like, okay, who did that gold go on to? And it was split between multiple members in exchange for Artemis just getting a solo plate here on bottom side. You're putting gold in the right member.
Was it solo play or was B
It
collecting
was a solo
a bit of
plate.
it?
B collected. B was around the corner, so.
Sparta going very aggressive onto
There we
Hasmed
go.
as Rift Herald is dropped in the mid lane, and Team Secret will get some tower plate gold of their own.
Man, Glory, I feel like, has been at so low health for so long and still just stayed so resolute in the mid lane. He was backing on a ward. Okay, so yeah, take a look. Like, the Zeri and the Rakan, they're, like, right when the wave is crashing, so I get that the timing is a little bit weird. And then Kiang comes running out. BJ's like, oh, man. And then Hero's here kind of low, and he just wasn't expecting it. Yeah, you can blame BJ, but, like, just sitting on a ward like that and them deciding to jump the wave on bot side probably is not what he expected anybody to be doing in this particular circumstance. And again, it was a free plate for Artemis, so it's like, okay, they gave up a free plate for Artemis and they gave up shove on bot lane, so an easy back there for the Xayah in exchange for a kill. And he's like, you could call it worth. That's something that I'd be like, if you all chatted worth right there, I wouldn't probably be like, you're wrong. I'm not saying it was worth. I'm just saying that, like, if he did that, I wouldn't be like, oh, you're just incorrect about that, right?
Yeah, to be honest, that's probably maybe what you're saying to see. Yeah, it's worth, guys. It's worth. We got a tail
worth.
plate. I'm only playing Sejuani.
I wouldn't consider that like one of those salty like worths that you throw in the chat when like you get killed for absolutely no reason, and then like your team gets like a scuttle crab and you're like worth, and it's like no, it wasn't worth. You're just trolling. Like that was a situation where it actually might have been worth.
Yeah. I think popping the oh my god, what is it called? Sweepers to get a ward. That's definitely worth. Did that hit, or was that only onto the wall?
No, I hit.
Okay.
Yeah, because it dragged Rail back, but he was around the corner, so it didn't really matter that much. It didn't put Nautilus close enough to throw an auto attack, which is good.
There are some weird Nautilus hook interactions.
Yeah,
Team Secret are looking for a potential play. Will they look to go? And this is a 4v3 all the while. Glory on the bottom lane, maybe looking to pick up first tower in favor of Team Wales.
Yeah, trying to get some additional farm. Right now, I mean, Glory is beating out Hero, not by a ton, and with no kill, I mean, he's just trying to get stacked up into what looks like a crown, I'm guessing is what's here for Glory. Just trying not to get dove on, trying not to get one shot by anything before anything else comes out. This feels like a game where he could have played a lot more aggressively, because who's actually hitting him in the dive? I guess Rakan can maybe get to him, maybe some Zeri damage, but like he's playing against effectively 2 melees, and
Hasmed is going to go for the dive. Counter-Strike will get some CC, but Hasmed beautifully steps out of tower range and now looking to follow up, forces Sparta to flash away, and that's now a flashless Jax. B? Okay, the rest of Team Wales are coming up. For a second, I thought B was just trying to 1v1 Hasmed on an Aatrox. Blade Caller will lock Hasmed down. Now the TP is coming through from Sparta. Glacial Prism will miss. Hasmed surely will not be able to outplay this. Glory into the rescue, and Glory will take his first kill of the game.
I think they just gave up mid tower for this play, and they gave up TP and pressure in mid. So, like,
worth.
Again, this is another worth situation here for Hausman, where he's like, really, guys? Like, all 5 of you showed up and burned to TP and gave up Dragon and gave up mid tower in exchange for me? Like, Yeah, that's worth. Like, that's where I would type that in a professional game, just because that feels really weird. I don't know what they needed everybody there for, but they just did not feel confident in being able to take anything on. Especially after, like, again, Sparta got out. Like, Sparta was not under any threat of being chased by Hasmed. B just happened to wrap around on him. I think it was B and Artemis saw an opportunity maybe to step out of mid lane. Weren't expecting it to take quite as long as it did to actually kill Hosmed, because there was no way for Artemis to get over the wall as a wraparound
Flank from Taki and a teleport coming through from Hosmed. Sparta is not present for this fight right now. And he's just going to keep on pushing in the side lane, which means that Team Wales are gifting over another objective over to the side of Team Secret. Although this time they are trading an objective for another objective.
Yeah, I mean, the tower into Jax to me isn't the most important thing in the world, though. I kind of appreciate this from Team Secret, because again, when you think of gold allotment, right now the Jax is down pretty hard to the Aatrox, so you don't really care all that much. And that means that, like, Sparta's going to pick up this tower. Yes, it's not first tower. It's not going to be anything insane. It's not going to suddenly make him a beast in the laning phase up against this Aatrox. Instead, what it does is it allows more counterplay here for Team Secret, because they grab up this Rift Herald. They're already up 2,500, 3,000 gold, and they're going to be able to use this to maybe secure the next dragon and start themselves on the path to the soul point when that comes through. So there's that to consider as well, that's very much on the horizon. I want to take a quick trip around some of the itemization builds, because this is not typical of Aatrox. Usually you're going Duskblade, so this is like the old school like Gordrinker Aatrox build, which isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. Right there, you actually saw the benefit in that duel of having it, because he had two people, got like 400 health back, and then they're like, ugh, we got to spend like 10 more seconds killing this Aatrox. But Duskblade would have been a lot more kind of vicious to play against Sparta with, because he's already been crushing with the Gordrinker. he took 3
Melisang, is that you?
What a menace to society. Oh, it's because Kia's here trying to make the dive happen, trying to make this Rift Herald play work.
They're going to go for it. Oh, they land the lance, they get the CC, and now Taki is here as well, looking for the CC, the quickness into the stun, surely a grand entrance to follow as well. There's no way out for Sparta. He jumps, Hosmed though chasing, smite to slow, and the Darkened Blade to seal the kill.
The trade-off is that the other side of the map, again, you lost top tower for Azir. So again, this is another circumstance where you're kind of, it's always weight being thrown on one direction of the map. But the nice part is that there's something happening elsewhere on the map at all times for Team Wales and Team Secret. And this is a very rare game where it feels like consistently the cross-side play in response to whatever the team that's making the primary action is doing is actually winning out. This is not one of those situations, because they obviously got the kill from Sparta, and they got the bottom tower, and they kept mid-pressure. They didn't keep mid-pressure, and Artemis got to like chip away at mid-tower and lost a bit of that. I would have said that this would have been worse. But right here, they used the Rift Herald. They're able to pound down this bottom tower. Actually, they didn't use the Rift Herald. My apologies. I think they could have used the Rift Herald. They probably got bot inner tower, but that would have sacrificed potentially top inner to the Azir. And again, you got to be careful about where your gold is actually going if you're Team Secret. But they're holding their 3k gold advantage, 3.5k gold advantage, and they've got their Rift Herald to set up for the next dragon. They're kind of doing everything. I've really liked the to and fro that the teams here are doing right now, but Team Secret seems to be slightly ahead of Team Wales.
3k goal lead for the side of Team Secret. Now they're hovering over to the top side. They will drop down the Rift Herald and maybe look for another dive. However, BJ and B are both here. The Rift Herald will surely get off its charge, and down goes the tower, and now Team Wales decide they want to fight. Kiang, though, able to hop over the wall before the depth charge knocks him up, and there will be no follow-up play from the side of Team Wales.
No, there will not. And now, okay, I'm just trying to keep track of time. We have a minute until the dragon, and that was the Rift Herald that pushes in top lane. That means Glory's going to be up there for at least another 10 seconds, probably 15 seconds, something like that. And they're using this little bit of timing where top wave has to be caught and reset back to the middle in order to get not only kind of interior pressure on this dragon on the bottom side, but also to maybe get a reset for Hosmed, reset for Kiang. They did just burn Flash on Kiang a little bit ago, trying to make that play against Sparta happen with the ultimate, and that means that that cooldown's not going to be up, which is pretty big if you want to go for a fight here for Team Wales. And right now, you're actually a pretty similar power level between Artemis and Eddie, and then you got obviously like the new spike of like the Nasters coming through. When it comes to the damage dealers, you're actually feeling better on Team Wales. I kind of want to see them take this fight, and I like that they're just beelining directly through their jungle, running into the river, trying to find their way to an avenue so that they could go fight at this dragon. And I agree with this idea of being like, hey, we do not want to give up Baron or Dragon or anything else right now because we are strong enough to take a fight. It's probably the correct way to think if you're Team Wales, because if you win a fight, you're right back in it.
The last time we had a fight was in the bottom side river, and a single item hadn't been completed by that point. Now we've got 2 items on both the ADCs, 2 items on Glory. Team Wales at the moment have control over the river, but as the waves will crash together in the mid lane, it'll give Team Secret an opportunity to clear out some of those wards.
Yeah, okay, so TP from Hosmet directly through mid lane is going to be able to catch if they decide to push back in any capacity, and they don't. Instead, Sparta is just going to go unresponded on the bottom side, where the Jax is going to get a ton of that is a play for BJ.
He's going to make a beeline straight over to the blast cone as
Oh.
Artemis is just going into the pit. And Team Wales have decided that they want to fight lockdown though as Artemis. He's forced to use the Featherstorm defensively. Flashes out of the grand entrance. Blade Caller will be able to get one route, but the follow-up from Team Secret is disgusting. B has already fallen. Flash forward from Arsmed as he forces the trio of Team Wales to back away. Eddie gets the kill onto Sparta just before he dies. Team Secret get 2 kills and Team Secret get the Drake as well.
Wales is just, that was the most disconnected play I think I've seen in all of playoffs so far. I do not know what they were thinking. I mean, you have 2 people diving in the back. You got a third one that ends up diving in the back. The whole time Glory's on the front, like waiting to try to go over top of the Dragon Pit. Artemis jumps into the Dragon Pit. Like, what in the world was their game plan here? They're attacking from like 100 angles and there's only 5 of them. Look at this. If you just pause the screen right now, there's BJ, there's Artemis. One's heading up and above. Glory's trying to put a soldier in the back line to put some damage into like Eddie and Hero and stuff, which I think is actually the right play. Like the whole time, like just these instincts that they're going for. Artemis takes half his health bar before anything else. Hero gets a solid knockup, and like again, they're just so split apart. Like, what are you supposed to do? The whole time, Glory's like, guys, I'm trying to put out damage here. Like, why are we diving that far into the back line? And Sparta almost comes up with a clutch kill against Eddie, which would have at least given them something, but that, again, the opportunity's there, the damage is there, but they're not playing around the damage dealer. They really should have just played where Glory was. I really think Glory honestly had the best beat on how to play that fight, and everybody else was just scattered to the wind.
I fully agree, and I feel like that was, again, if we go to our solo queue comparisons, that was the whole team saying, Leroy Jenkins, and Glory saying, you guys do your inting, I'm just going to stand here and poke and not die, thank you very much.
I mean, if you're going to do that, at least, like, commit 4 members and, like, take the top side down fight into the pit or something like that. But, like, they didn't even do that because Artemis stayed in the pit. He just, like, blast coned over and was just, like, in the pit and, like, auto-attacking, like, the dragon, trying to put feathers in the right place. And his feather positioning wasn't terrible. But the problem is by the time that he pulled the feathers, there were, like, 2 people, 3 people. He was down half his health bar. He couldn't stand forward and actually put out auto-attacks. And he's too far away for Glory to be able to put out the DPS. So it's like, okay, I don't know what Wales is doing. And Secret is just, like, taking advantage of them. They're just like, oh, you can't fight us internally because we've got an Aatrox with 2 full items and a Rel that will absolutely wreck you and a Nico that'll knock everybody up, and we also have insane, like, consistent damage with this Zeri. Yeah, we're difficult to fight too. You're not the only ones with items here. And so, again, I think Team Wales just got a little too tricky for their own good there.
Well, Team Wales need to start to think of a new game plan, and maybe one of those game plans is to play around that side lane with this Jax. The issue, though, right now, is Sparta is 50 CS down and is an item down on Harsmed, and even though, as you mentioned before, Harsmed has gone for the Gore Drinker, which is more of this kind of team fight item than something like the Dusk Blade, he's still way stronger than the Jax.
Yeah, the BC and the Gore Drinker is not going to make it easy for Sparta to win any sort of side laning. Yeah, if this were like a 2-item Jax, like a Sunderer and like a Hull Breaker, like a Trinity Force, a Hull Breaker, like Blade of the Rune King, something like that, it would have been good. But like we are well behind that mark as they try to catch Kiang, but can't quite get him with the Sejuani ultimate. So
yeah, it almost looked to me like it went through the champion model, or maybe he was trying to predict the jump.
Something like that. Yeah, I think he was trying to predict the jump, but the other benefit is like it also slows him if he goes over the wall. But there's nobody in position that like wouldn't have gotten devastated by Eddie instead. So it's like Artemis was close enough that it's like, okay, Artemis maybe can step around the corner and start putting auto attacks into Kiang on the slow, but then you run the risk of getting speared and then like stunned, and then out of nowhere it's like, oh wait, he just dies to Eddie's like 5 bajillion damage because he's got 3 items area. Like,
well, he's now a 3 items area. He only just got that 3 items. It was 2.5 before. Unless you count boots. I don't know. Do you count boots as an item?
I don't usually, no.
Yeah, same.
I just count them as like a bump in the road. Although he had 3 items for that play right there, so he was at his power spike when it was time for that wraparound to come about. Like Eddie just came back with those items, so he's ready and raring to rock right now, which is kind of cool. Both marksmen actually went for very similar itemization, except that obviously Zaya goes for Kraken Slayer here. This means nothing, like nothing. Actually, that was maybe the worst Q I've seen on a Jax in some time. He's gonna be lucky if he doesn't die to Hosmed right here. There we go. Yeah.
The Darkened Blade almost getting the knock up onto Sparta, but you can just see just how much stronger Harsmed is on this Aatrox compared to Sparta on the Jax. And the thing is, Team Secret don't have that long to wait before they're all very strong. I mean, Eddie's already on 3 items. We're getting to the point where this Zeri is going to become a monster. There is a Baron up for the taking. If Team Secret get this Drake in 30 seconds time, they are on to Soul Point as well.
I mean, the biggest thing is that inside of team fights, nobody can soak damage from Team Secret. It's like, okay, Jax is not really that strong. Sejuani's only on like 1 item, 1.5 items right here. It's not even a completed item for B quite yet. We're in a position where like Hosmed is doing more damage than most of the members on the side of Team Wales, if not everybody, and then that's not including Hero, who's doing the same thing, and neither one of them are the top DPS option because that's Eddie. Eddie's the one that's doing the top DPS. If this game were even in gold, there comes a time where like Nico's damage falls off, eventually Aatrox's damage is not like the greatest against non-squishy targets, and it's like, okay, that means Sparta can live forever. That was a short Spider-Man, but he does end up getting out. But yeah, like there's just not enough bulk to actually absorb a lot of the bruisery type damage that comes out from this Team Secret squad, and that's what's really keeping them massively ahead in this game. It's just like, even if it does come down to it doesn't just come down to marksman right now, because if we're just down to marksman, they're relatively even in itemization. The problem is all the supplemental damage from all these other members is just stacked up for Team Secret right now.
There is no way Team Wales start up this Baron. Team Secret, again, while it wasn't a big pick on to be, they got the support down to half health. It means that Team Wales had no way of contesting, even though they didn't anyway, of being able to contest that third Drake. Secret now on to Soul Point, and Team Secret don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to play this slowly and continue to extend their goal lead and wait until Zeri just becomes even more of a monster than she already is, and wait until they get that Hextech Soul.
Yeah, I would say the break point here for the side of Wales is maybe 4 item Azir. If you get to 4 item Azir, it's like, okay, maybe there's a chance at that point, once Void Staff's done, once some additional AP is done, that there's something to be done. Sparta's never getting back into the game. Like, you might as well just start building some tank. Oh
no. Sparta, he thought he could bully Hosmed, and Hosmed says, no, I'm the bully. He jumps to another ward. Can Hosmed follow? No, he can't. It's Sparta. Just about survives. That's like one of those videos, you know, where you see like one of the baby monkeys like patting like the big gorilla and then like running away for its life.
Yeah, in this case, I actually think that was smart from Sparta because he got the flash out of Hosmed. So it's going to be harder for Hosmed to try to get something done. Now we have a fight.
Glacial Prison lands. Can they get the kill onto Kiang? They're trying desperately, but Eddie is just shredding through the front line of Team Wales. Hosmed over the wall, looking for BJ and forcing 3 members of Team Wales out from the fight. Glory will follow, and they get the Guardian Angel out of Hosmed. But here comes Eddie to the rescue. They do get the kill. They get the shutdown. And it's on to Artemis. Hero coming from the side, getting some damage down onto Glory, but it is 4 members of Team Secret against 3 of Team Wales, as Artemis is doing a fantastic job of zoning the quartet of Team Secret away. Wales will survive, but they do lose the fight.
They keep the fight away. Yeah, the lost fight, not to mention the Baron buff, may be on the table here, but probably not convincingly enough for Team Secret to actually go take it. Instead, they're going to leave some residual wards, push up top lane, and then maybe go look for a back. You're seeing that right there was the remnants of a fight that you're looking for on the side of Team Wales, because you allowed Glory to actually put out damage. Watch Glory this entire time, because this initial pick didn't look bad on the Kiang, but you just don't quite have the burst damage. So watch Artemis. I want to see how many feathers he put out before he pulled the feather. It's 3! Again! Save the feather pull. Artemis, you're killing me.
Save the feather pull, save Private Hero. They go for the wrong hero. They go for the clone, and real hero is on the run. But here comes Artemis. Here comes Glory. Here comes Sparta. And it is another shutdown for the Team Wales ADC.
They're buying space now for Artemis and for Glory to start putting out damage, which is the good thing inside of these fights. This is advantageous because there is no Nico, but they still have to be careful of the damage that's capable of Eddie and Hosmed. Yeah, he's got a good flank angle here.
He's going to take the Hex Gate. He's looking to come in from behind. All of this from Team Secrets is just to harass Team Wales, try to push them off from the Baron Nash, but Team Wales will not blink. Whoa! But in goes Taki, and it is a beautiful engage. Team Wales are being destroyed where they stand. 4v5 Secret could not give a damn. Eddie takes the quadra kill, and he takes the penta kill. Team Secret will march into the base to take game 1.
You can see the discontent and the kind of not happiness that was there from Team Wales, despite the fact that they're up an entire member. And Taki, what an engagement to be followed up on by Kiang to just allow for Eddie to step forward, use the Zeri damage, and pop off in fights. I was telling you this, I thought Eddie had one of his better splits, not because of his stats, but because finally he's putting out damage, because Taki's giving him space to play more aggressively in fights, and that was the perfect indicator right there. Eddie gets to slide forward inside of a fight because Taki sets him up perfectly to play basically a 1v5 situation alongside Kiang, and his aggression right there is exactly what wins this massive Baron fight. And just as it looked like Wales had some fight back, Team Secret puts the nail in the coffin and takes game 1.
2 shutdowns for Artemis. I was starting to feel it. I was starting to feel the comeback coming. But then it's exactly as you mentioned, we could sense the nervousness of Team Wales, where they were thinking, okay, we got the kill, we have to make something happen. And Team Secret said, no, it doesn't matter if you've got the kills.
Yeah.
You had to use spells. You had to use cooldowns for that kills. We're still stronger in this 4v5.
Yeah, the problem with it was that the whole time, your DPS is supposed to be coming out of Azir and Xayah, and they just did not have Azir in any comfortable situation. Glory was trying to figure out, do I go back of the pit? Do I stay in the river and try to zone out members? I mean, he was, during the course of that fight, at any given time, he was zoning out the Aatrox, he was zoning out the 3-man squad in the river, and he was trying to hit the Baron at 1. Like, that's too many jobs for the Azir to be doing. It's not an actual RTS. He has to choose one of those areas at a time to actually work on, and it just was too much for him to have to handle. So again, the fight back was there. The damage dealers were playing some decent League of Legends right there. If the top lane doesn't get ruined, maybe Wales has a lot more fight back in that one. But Team Secret it throws a very, very nice first punch in the series.
Well, Team Secret will start the series off with a win, 1-0 and 2 games away from progressing through the playoffs. With that, we're going to be heading into a short break, and when we return, Yulwei will also be returning to take us in to Game 2 of the series. Stay tuned.
OBS was messing with me. It was sending all the mics in different directions. But now we're back and right straight into draft. Welcome back, everyone. We are not used to this new procedure of all the VCS doing like analyst desk and stuff, so my timing is a bit off. I'm very sorry for that. But here we are, game number 2. Wales on blue side again, actually. So they're setting up another first pick. Rebel, do we want to see another Azir first pick?
No, we don't.
Yes.
Actually, let's get your thoughts on the game, because we talked about it plenty. So let's hear what you thought about first game before we get too deep into the draft.
I mean, to be honest, it mostly played out like I would expect looking at the draft alone. If I don't factor in the players, the draft on the red side was much better in the last game. Like, we talked about this after draft 1. Draft 1 just looked way better for Team Secret, and they actually played to it. Hasmid was the dominant top laner, mid lane jungle combination was much stronger in setting up the fights there. They got a lot more done, and then Zeri just outranged everyone in team fights. So I really hated the Nautilus. I don't want to see the Nautilus again. For especially in this combination, they were just so short-ranged. Azir couldn't really maneuver the fights anyway, so I already like this first pick much more. The Tristana, I feel like Lori should be able to put a little bit of a stamp of authority onto the mid lane matchup with this Tristana pick.
And Team Secret going to lock themselves in the Jace and looking to pick up the Rel once again for Kiang. And
like that.
I'm quite glad that Wales said, you know what? We're banning away that Aatrox from Hasmid. He's quite good at that champion, isn't he?
Ooh. See, okay, now where is this drafting in game number 1? I'm just completely lost about. Okay, so like it's like, okay, they have Tristana. Tristana's a flex between mid and in bot lane, especially on this team because Artemis is one of our more proficient Tristana, one of our more consistent Tristana players in all things. They give up the Jace and the Rel, and they're like, okay, we go to Ivern, we go to Alistar. Alistar's here for the Rel, and the Ivern is here just as a really, really good jungler to pair alongside a mid lane marksman because you have basically an enchanter to sit on top of them and make sure that they're never going to lose the laning phase. It's like, this is what I wanted to see from drafting here.
I mean, at least they adapt the draft in game 2 and not game 3 or 4, right? So
That's true.
In the best of 5, sometimes, especially if you think they're the better team, sometimes it's okay to start off with a little bit of a spicy, a little bit of a maybe hubris draft where maybe you shouldn't have gone for the Azir first pick. You try to narrow Heroes champion pool. It didn't work, so back to meta again. I like to see the Ivern. I don't think I've ever seen an Ivern VC in the VCS while I was covering it. I know it has been played in the summer split, and of course Ivern is meta right now. But I'm so happy to finally see the tree in this region because I feel like he should be pretty good. And BJ can be a very crafty player, so I feel like this should suit him quite well.
I'm quite excited to see Ivern as well. I don't think I've ever got to cast a game of Ivern before, so very exciting things to come up. Team Wales, this time they ban away the Rakan, they've locked in the Alistar. That is not getting flexed anywhere, is it, Rebel?
I don't think so.
We hope not.
Believe it or not, earlier this split, we actually had a top laner play it a couple of times, and it was,
really?
was mocked relentlessly. Yeah, in some of the amateur stuff in NA, we had somebody get mocked relentlessly for playing Alistar top.
Wait, hang on. Didn't the Shy play Alistar top or something and do really well on it?
No idea. Probably. I mean, it
not.
got a little bit of noise. There were some. Oh, yeah. I mean, the Shy probably didn't. No, I mean, it got some buffs at one point, and people were talking about it, but it's just, it's not good still. Like, it's just not there. So, no, it's not getting flexed. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, after they removed that auto-attack interaction, I don't think Alistar can ever go back to solo lane status. We have a Maokai, so double flex now for jungle support, I guess.
And top lane, if you really want to throw him out.
That would be a really strange one. Yeah.
That would be awesome, though.
I guess On could be an option here for Sparta. I hate VCS On with a passion, but it could.
When did they redo the Silver Splash art? Am I just completely
A
behind
while
the ball?
back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
you're behind the ball.
half a year ago.
I'm well behind the ball. Yeah, I'm well behind that one.
I've not even played the game, Rebel, and I know that Sivir Splash art changed.
Yeah.
The Sivir is like LPL flavor. We've seen a lot of Sivir actually played over in China. Not so much in other regions. I like Sivir a lot. She's one of my best champions. So.
Okay, somebody tell me where champions are going.
support rel. That's all that's happening here.
Okay.
The interesting thing is that people pick Ivern into Maokai because it's very unlikely to get invaded by any standard, but also Maokai has like the saplings and has a bunch of map presence and has good, consistent, safe damage and has very long range engage. So it's like, on one hand, you don't get punishment for Ivern, but on the other hand, your Maokai goes unpunished. So it's like like a trade people are willing to make in a lot of cases, and clearly that's the case here.
There's
you know
one
what we're
thing I
missing
want
from this game? Oh, sorry, your way.
Yeah, there's just one thing I want to bring up before we go into the game, because I want to see if you guys can run with it, I guess, because I feel like the interaction between Maokai, Rel, and Sivir Alistar is going to be super interesting in teamfights, because Maokai is really bad into Sivir because his W gets easily countered, right? And then he's kind of not doing anything with his W. And Alistar should be able to counter Rel, so if they play it correctly, they should be able to isolate the Maokai pretty easily and just have Sivir while away at him and just kill him instantly. So I'm very interested to see if they can execute this combo pretty as they designed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my point wasn't anything that cool. I was just going to say it's a shame that we don't have a Malphite in this game, because then we could have played rock, paper, scissors.
That's true. Yeah, we did have the very last second. We haven't seen Hosmet play too many carries in this year, so it's not the first time he's done it, but that would have been an interesting little addition. Yo, wait, predict for us.
Oh, prediction. I think Wales will come back in this game. I like the Tristana first pick, I like the Sivir. I think Wales has found a little bit of the meta, and Ivan, I have to go for Ivan, so Wales will tie the series here.
I like the sound of Wales tying the series. 1-1. Get a few more games of action on the Rift. Rebel, permission to make tree puns this game, because we've got all the tree characters in this game.
Go ahead.
I guess the meta's really branching out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done.
Actually
right,
not.
heading on in. Oh,
not to destroy your pun or anything, but these two are like two of the more played junglers. So.
No, it's like it's changed since like before when we.
Oh, I mean,
yeah.
If you had told me 2 years ago that Maokai Ivern was going to be the meta at some point, I would have said you were crazy, probably, because it was Lee Sin. It was Lee Sin for the longest time. It was literally just Lee Sin. Like, there wasn't even a second champion. If the other team got Lee Sin, it was just like, oh yeah, we're not playing jungle. We're just gonna play not jungle.
Yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, like, I can see Maokai, or I think I could have seen Maokai becoming a jungler. If you said, give it 2 years and Teemo and Yi are going to be meta, then I'd be like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. Taki, though, going in for an engage onto Artemis. B says, Eddie, sayonara, we're going to have a support versus ADC battle going on here. And I think Team Secret kind of come out of that one pretty well.
Wow. Okay. Taki is playing super aggressively with his health bar to make sure that Artemis is just missing minions, and I wonder if this is like a tilt tactic just to make sure that Artemis knows his place is bum of the bot lane here, because Taki says it's not going to happen.
He goes in again, a really good blade call. Taki's not messing around, he's not poking, he's going for the all-in engage. B is forced to flash away as well, and Team Wales have no summoners remaining.
Yeah, a few things to talk about is like, one of the things that like we always had a complaint about Eddie, even you had to complain about Eddie, is that his laning phase was kind of dog at one point, really dog.
I never used the term dog. You used the term dog.
I used the term dog. You would agree with me using the term dog, and you know you wouldn't because it's true. But this season it's been a little bit better. They've been better about it. Again, I think Taki and Eddie have this interesting combination where because Taki plays so aggressively, Eddie cannot not play aggressively. And sometimes Taki gets pulled back on the leash a little bit. He himself not playing nearly as dog is what he normally does in certain circumstances. He trolls too. Everybody trolls a little bit sometimes in League of Legends. But in this case, again, to me, this was Taki's level of brilliance in knowing support matchups because he was a big Alistar player. He knows that the cooldowns on the rail are much faster than that of Alistar. And so he got not only the first W off, but he got his cooldown refresh back and level 2 faster, which allowed him to instant engage on Artemis, and now they have the flash advantage on bottom side, as well as having denied Sivir a decent amount of minions off the first couple of minion waves. Again, that's just, it's not even like a byproduct of jungle pathing, that's just individual expertise of the support v support matchup coming through from Taki.
I guess we've had a few firsts this split as Hero just knocks Glory away. Oh, really nice route. Is there enough damage? I thought Glory was going to jump onto Hero. You know what? He still might as well. And you know, Hero is thinking maybe Glory's going to jump on me, just standing as far back as possible. And then in the end, no kills will come through the mid lane.
Actually hilarious because BJ is currently hiding away from Kiang to not let him know. Oh, got it. Okay, yeah. He was hiding in that brush thinking he was going to escape right there. It's kind of funny.
Does it count as hiding if they know you're there? Like, if your parents are playing hide and seek with you and they know you're in the cubs, they're like, oh, where is he?
The thing is, though, is there's no guarantee he's there, right? Because what happened was he put up the brush and then it cuts vision, and he had thought he was wrapping around on Hero. Is the whole reason Kiang was there on the defense.
Okay.
So him standing in the brush and then channeling, like Hosmed just getting. Did he really not even try? He didn't even throw a Q. I thought he was gonna throw one more Q and see if he could.
He had already used a Q. He used a Q.
I know he had used it, but I thought he would have had the cooldown. I thought he would have had the cooldown. Like, he just used it twice in a row. Like, he had the cooldown almost certainly. He probably just thought that it wasn't going to have the range, which is fair, but I would have thought he would at least tried it. But, yeah. Anyway, going back to the mind game, BJ hit himself in the brush because I'm assuming he thought that Kiang was going to think that he escaped, and that's exactly what he thought, because at any point Kiang could have hit Q, disrupted his channeling on that camp, and then he would have had his Raptors still available to take. But because he didn't, he thought that he was going to just walk away with the bush having covered his vision. That means that he just gets to steal away that one camp directly in the face of Kiang with no repercussions.
Well, Eddie's currently holding about a 10 CS lead, or it will be about 10 CS once Artemis catches this wave. Still waiting for first blood to be secured, and it is still on the cards. And again, Harsmed did get rather close to getting that kill onto Sparta. In the end, though, Harsmed now doesn't have a flash on the Gwen. Sparta does. Potential aggression from BJ to be seen?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Harsmed is flashless. Do we see BJ looking towards topside?
I doubt it. I don't think they're going to try. He's not going to try to play towards Cassante.
No, he's going to try to play towards bot side, because here is the Ivan, but Kiang is making his way in as well. It's 3-on-1 puny little tree, flashes over the wall, but Eddie flashes in pursuit, throws out the final auto, and I guess Bird beats tree.
Okay, so tell me something. It's been a while since you've covered any VCS games. Have you ever seen Eddie do anything like that before this split? Hell no. Don't even try. Don't even try. Don't even try. We're 6 minutes into the game. Have you ever seen Eddie do that 6 minutes into a game before? No. It is only as of this split that he decided to finally stop taking down. Okay.
Counterpoint. Have you ever seen Eddie in a position where if he flashes over a wall, he can kill a target on 1 HP?
That's the point. The point of this is that he never puts himself in these situations because he always loses the beginning of the game. Okay, he's laning has improved drastically. His combination with Taki looks a lot more effective than what he's had in the past. And in this circumstance, yes, it was a low health target, but like, how often have you seen Eddie in like, he's not even low health. He's half health. He's flashing by himself over the wall into 2 potential members of Team Wales.
Harsmed is surely dead. Sidesteps an Entopo strike, but can't sidestep the auto attack.
The whole point, like, yesterday we got no interaction between our top laners. We had it was like Cassante versus I cannot remember, Malphite and Cassante versus Ornn, like, for 3 games.
Oh, this is just 30. Wow. This isn't fair. That is so cleanly played by Glory. Picks up the kill. He waited for Hero to knock his 2 teammates away, and then he said, "Now I jump in."
You see, this is awesome. Okay, so let's look at this first. Okay, this is actually really big from Sparta because he was using his health really effectively. Harsmed didn't have the cooldowns. I think I
don't think that matters.
Entirely wrong direction. It might not have mattered, but like, just throwing it in the wrong direction is just trolling. Because at that point he had movement left, he had everything else together. But the cool interaction that I saw at the second half of that play, which hopefully I was hoping we would get a replay of the second half of that, which was the Bean JQ into Alistar following up with an auto attack to deliver the Alistar without having to use the W, which is a really cool mechanic. My preference for that one is actually to use it on Alawi to deliver Alawi into multiple members so she can hit her ultimate and then hit tentacles and then just win every fight she's ever been in. But any champion that likes to be on top of members is really, really good. So you saw right there for the first time, and hopefully not the last time in this game,
BJ be ganking this game, looking towards Harsmed, and Sparta wants another kill. There comes the knock-up, there is a follow-up, and there is a second kill for the Cassante.
We hadn't seen it really before this point. And you asked earlier whether or not BJ was going to take a visit towards the top side, and I didn't believe it was going to be the case. I was like, what's the point? Why would he go up there and do that? Well, I mean, now Cassante's up 2 kills over top of Gwen, which makes this a very difficult laning phase for Harsmed. It's making it a lot easier to manage the map. I mean, the 2 solo lanes just got gifted free things from the side of Team Wales junglers, and you can appreciate that. The only lane that is unaffected so far, or like kind of poorly affected by the side of BJ, was giving that kill over to Eddie after already being up 20 CS. So now Team Secret's got to figure out what their response is. How are they going to play around their Xayah being as powerful as they are, with their 2 solo lanes being in a dumpster at the moment?
Well, BJ is able to get the Rift Herald. B looking for a potential play and knocks Eddie towards Artemis. And Eddie says, oh, okay, I guess we're fighting. And B is so screwed right now. Blade Caller, though, locks B in place, and Team Secret do not want to aggress any further. And I thought for certain that was going to be another kill for Team Secret.
Ended up being like the full combo coming out from B didn't end up doing as much as I think they wanted to. They didn't put Eddie within tower range, didn't put him out of insane position, and the whole time he's got the Featherstorm, and he just outright wins the auto attacking battle up against Artemis. So I think that was more the attack speed than anything else, because the Kerchiss Shard doesn't give attack speed anymore, as back into the mid lane.
It's another root caller again. Glory waits before he uses the rocket jump, and Hero throws out a shock blast and kind of evens out the trade of damage.
Yeah, and there's also like a cookie sitting on Hero, so he's not really that pressed at the moment. Yeah, cookie, nice. But BJ's hanging around on the ward. It looks like a cookie to me, so that's what I'm gonna call it.
Pretty. Where's the name for it? Is it Biscuit of Rejuvenation?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Oh, Taki. Okay, flashing in. Kiang locking down Glory, and there is no way out for Glory. BJ can't even follow up because he's tangled up in the roots of Kiang.
How many seconds was he CC'd for in a row right there? I mean, it was the W, which is what he was buffered. He buffered the W from the Maokai, and then he got rooted with the ultimate from the Maokai, and then he got W'd by the Rel, and then he got Q'd by the Rel, and was just stunned in place for like 20 seconds, which sucks. Because he had a decent buffer on the W, and also buffered the ultimate to be able to knock away like another member, so there's no follow-up. I think he hit Hero with it to knock Hero away, so there's no backup damage, but yeah, that was a rough one. That was a bit of chain CC to hell right there, coming out from the side of Team Secret. As they're still fighting, again, I like that they got Hero kill. He's on a champion that he already played in the top lane of the Jace, so you know he's more comfortable on this one than he normally is on like Nico or Azir or anything like that. This is a champion he knows how to play. And again, having Eddie with some kills after that pentakill in game 1, feeling himself a little bit, most likely, meaning that they have confidence still and still. They're not down too much, about 600 gold at this point. So despite some of the early kind of advantages gained by Team Wales off the back of BJ and Sparta getting some solo kill, Team Secret's not out of it by any standard. They're not out of the woods by that metric.
Root Caller lands onto Kiang, and the Rift Herald looking to charge her forward. This will be a bit of gold going into the pockets of Glory and BJ. B won't be able to pick up any of the gold, which is exactly what Team Wales want.
Yeah, I couldn't use it to break the tower, which is unfortunate, alongside this Tristana, but that's okay. I don't think they're really that pressed. They're just wanting to get some gold down, wanting to get something back, wanting to get some pressure out of the mid lane. Now you also have to worry that if there's any movement from Hero whatsoever, basically Glory gets to take mid tower. Like, that's just going to go down because there's only about a plate and a half left, and you got the Tristana, which is this demolitionist able to be utilized. So minute 20 till Dragon, that's a very legitimate threat to throw up against the side of Team Secret, so I don't hate that coming through from BJ, who seems to be playing, I mean, he's going back to like his OG, like Saigon Buffalo form for this one. He's just like the masterclass early game controller, doing everything here for the side of Team Wales to make sure that everybody's as comfortable as they can be. Yes, it's not been perfect, but at minimum, it is, again, more reminiscent of what we saw from before.
Glory roaming up towards the top side, looking for a kill onto Harsmed. There goes the bomb, there comes the kill, and Glory jumps out of tower range to keep himself alive.
Are you seeing mostly squares right now, or is that just my screen?
No, I'm seeing squares as well. That was podcast. Yeah.
Like, we're getting pixels. Like, I think I can count the number of pixels if I really try to, which is not by. Let me put it like this. I don't know whether that's on our side, whether that's on the VCS side, whatever that is.
It's fine on the stream.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
that's
we're just imagining it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Actually, quick question. Do you remember what Rel's Q's called? I think it's
Rel...
Shattering Strike.
See, that's the thing. I never learned Rel's ability. Basically, every champion after Rel, I stopped learning their abilities because I just didn't care. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, to be honest, none of the champions after Rel are even cool. Yeah, Kassante's alright, but that's it.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there a reason you ask? Are you just like trying to make sure that Shattering Strike or something like that?
It's one of those abilities that I just kind of always forget. I thought, you know what? Instead of just Googling it on the side, I thought, fun talking point during a bit of downtime that we're getting on the ref.
I'm pretty sure it's Shattering Strike. Yeah. Does it depend whether she's mounted or not, though? Because you can't. You can. Oh no, because you can use the Q when you're not in unmounted stance. That's right. Because it's like the W is Ferromancy, and then what is it? Crashdown or something like that is like the name of it when you're mounted. It's like
the W is Ferromancy, and Harsmid is dead. And I think we're also going to be seeing a bit of a dead Taki. Yeah, he's jumping around, but I hate to break it to the horse lady. Horse doesn't beat cow right now, and gun kills. Okay. B flashes forward to get the CC, follows it up with a trample, and Glory does eventually get the kill, but Taki almost with a great escape.
Oh.
Okay, we're back in VCS. This is what we like to see. None of this waiting around. 10 kills in 1 minute. Hero on the run. The explosive charges are following through.
No.
And here's Artemis from the side, flashes forward, throws out the autos, and Team Wales are 7 kills to 4. Eddie gets a kill. What is going on, Rebel?
I don't know. There were like 100 kills. There were literally like 3 fights happening on that. So this is the bottom side play where they were looking for Sparta. This is where Eddie gets the kill against Sparta before anything else. You can notice the rail play happening in the top side jungle. You can also notice that there is a wraparound where BJ tries to get behind Hero here, and Hero ends up just killing BJ. And then, of course, Hero's kind of stuck in the wrong position. He runs the wrong direction, runs directly into Alistar, and ends up dying as well. So just a little bit of debauchery there, a little bit of clown car. VCS clown action happening in front of our very eyes. It wouldn't be a true VCS split if we didn't have a little bit of trolling here and there. You just don't get the true spirit of what this league's all about sometimes.
It's just because I said, we've got some downtime, so let's just talk about something a bit chill, and the teams were like, excuse me?
None of that.
What did you say?
Yeah, I mean, we were pixelated at the time, so we couldn't really tell what was going on anyway, but...
True.
Yeah. That's fine. I mean... We've settled.
You might have been a bit more pixelated than me, I think.
Yeah,
I could kind of see what was happening.
Yeah, I was in like 8-bit mode there for a hot minute. Okay, this is really intriguing because this is Sivir with Static Shiv and Tristana with not Static Shiv, which is not typically what we see. Not to say the Kraken Slayer is bad on the Tristana by any standard whatsoever. It's just that usually you're going for lane pressure. You want like wave control, and so usually you go Static Shiv. I'm assuming Glory, because of the advantage that he's accrued over the game, just believes that he's never going to lose the wave clear battles with Jace anyway, so he goes for the more damage-oriented build, which I kind of like because he's been bouncing in on top of members that have been knocked up by B consistently, and it's been working out really well. Like, his single-target damage is looking really, really solid in this one. It does mean that the multi-target damage isn't quite there, so you have to be afraid that, like, Hero and Eddie could potentially live through fights a little longer than you might expect them to. But, if you end up getting the chain CC, kind of what you're looking for in a lot of the cases with B and everybody else together, you're going to be in a good place.
Team Well start up the Rift Herald. Kiang, though, throws out the Nature's Grasp, and Team Secret want to fight this one, but Team Wales are able to get the Herald, and now they're turning their attention towards a Kiang. Focus on it to Eddie. Out comes the Featherstorm. Blade Quarter still able to be used. B is very low and will fall. Team Secret get the only kill of the fight, but Team Wales get the Rift Herald.
Yeah, traded off immediate gold for the kill and the fight, going over to the side of Team Secret in exchange for the Rift Herald, and the gold is basically dead, worth 300 gold. That's 1 kill of difference between the two teams. 2 dragons going over to the side of Team Secret. You can see what they're playing for, and the big difference in this one, once again, Eddie is making it happen. Not to say that Artemis is having a bad game, but Eddie's putting out the damage where he needs to. Take a look at this. Kiang is kind of on the front line. Eddie's position. How often do you see him standing this far up in the fight? I cannot talk about this enough. He never used to play like this. It just did not happen. He would never get hit by an Alistar ability in 100 years on other teams or on this team before. And in this case, he gets up that far so he can put feathers in the right position. He plays more aggressively in his positioning. And this is where Eddie, this is why I was so shocked that Team Secret was not like a top 3 team in the split, because Eddie is performing so much better. He had some growing pains at the beginning of the split, and they were trying to figure out their mid lane. And because of those two things, they didn't quite have the exact kind of win rate that they wanted to at the beginning, but you can see them turning it on fully here for playoffs.
Can someone just help me out here? Because we're watching a VCS split where we've got an Ivan in the jungle, we praised an Alistar being locked in, and now Rebel's praising Eddie. I'm starting to think I'm in the Matrix.
Things are changing. Things are changing. All right. This isn't your grandmother's VCS. Okay. I'll actually, with Ryuk back, it kind of is your grandmother's VCS. I guess it is from years ago. But people change and people grow and people get better, and I appreciate that. And VCS seems to be at least adapting a little bit more. They're doing better with their drafting. Not saying they're doing good drafting, but they're at least getting better with their drafting. I'm happy to see that there's a lot of potential that was in this league that's kind of being realized here that we've been talking about for years.
Rebel just straight up murdering people. Where did Ren go again? Wasn't it on to Team Wales, or did he go to SBTC?
I don't remember. I think it was SBTC, and then he
Yeah.
left SBTC, if I recall.
Yeah.
Because he isn't coaching currently, so.
Fair enough.
Mhm.
We'll see. I'm sure our stats team will.
Here we go.
Let us know. Here we go. Rift Herald dropped down.
No way!
Our stats team. You mean Beast? Beast just
yeah.
frantically typing. Harsman looking to come in from the side, flash forward from Taki. They finally engage onto Artemis, who is solo.
Right.
And the kill, the shutdown for Eddie. And Harsman is shredding through BJ. Scissors beating paper once again. Double kill for Eddie. And Team Secret have found their way back into the game.
Yeah, we were talking about this at the beginning. Again, Team Secret's #1 win condition was that Eddie was pretty drastically ahead in terms of his damage output comparative to anybody else, and you can see that again and again and again. He is putting out damage. He is this primary carry for the team, and they don't have to worry, right? Hosmet doesn't have to be this big damage dealer. Hero doesn't even really have to do a bunch right now. Eddie's feathers and auto-attacking is more than sufficient. Look at the way he plays this one. He finds Artemis with a feather pull and just immediately collapses on him. He and Taki are able to just make it happen. Doesn't get punished by Sparta either. I'm a little upset by the fact that he didn't quite walk behind Sparta and get all those feathers, as Hosmet's just gonna die again. But like, the reason Hosmet's getting punished this often is because Team Wales doesn't have anywhere else to go on the map. They just have to go and kill this this Gwen time and time again because there's nothing else for them to accomplish. They don't feel like they have anywhere else on the map they can attack.
In a game where there are 3 ADCs, one of which is Artemis, one of which is Glory,
Woo!
Eddie is the best of all. Big shock blast coming through from Hero. Sparta looking for a potential play. Team Wales are low. We saw Team Wales choking around a Baron in Game 1, and they will not be making that same mistake here in Game 2.
And look at the decision-making coming out from the team. This is a lot crisper than what we saw at the beginning of the split, where at the beginning of the split, they looked a little bit lost. Right here, Eddie never enters that fight, which is not like Eddie, because he's always been a team-fighting ADC. There's another scrap is that sometimes his propensity to go to 5-on-5s and do nothing else was also problematic on occasion, even though Team Secret played for it quite often. Right there, he got called off because Hero says, hey, I hit the absolute most devious shock blast in the entire universe. They can't stay on Baron. So you stay in mid lane, we're going to cut off their entrance to the mid lane, their wave's going to get shoved up, and then we're just going to walk back to Baron because Hosman's going to respawn in time. And now, look at what's happening. They're basically taking an uncontested Baron off the back of a pick against Hosman in the top lane. Like, that's Team Secret playing a different kind of League of Legends than what we saw just like 4 weeks ago from them.
Smart play then from Team Secret. They are already on a 2 soul point, and that soul is only 3 minutes away. And Eddie is absolutely massive on the Xayah, nearly 3 items, whereas Artemis has only, well, actually, he did hit his second item not that long ago, but still, 5-0, he big.
Yeah, the problem is, like, Eddie is strong, but he's not so absurdly more strong than the combination of Glory and Artemis. It's just that Team Wales have not been able to connect the two of them inside of a team fight and really put out the damage that they need to. If they ever get a chance to get on top of Hero, get on top of Eddie, there's going to be problems, right? Like, it's going to come out, and it's going to be difficult. But the thing is, until now, Team Secret hasn't had to worry. The separation in the lines of their fighting that have been going on, whether it's Artemis too far forward or Sparta or somebody else kind of getting caught just a little bit out of position, that has been the real mark of this game for Team Secret, is them punishing those battle lines that have yet to be established effectively by the side of Team Wales. If they ever do, there's problems. 2,500 gold isn't the most ridiculous amount of gold, and a decent amount of that's probably in Sparta over top of Hosmet at this point, where Hosmet has just been completely bullied in a game like this. But it's not so demeaning of a gold advantage. It's just that Eddie is playing such good League of Legends right now, it's difficult to see Team Secret losing, but again, not impossible by any standard.
Well, Sparta is very tanky. 1, he's playing Cassante. 2, he's got an Iceborne, and he now has a Gargoyles as well. Glory, though, looking to 1v1 on the Gwen, able to sidestep a little bit of the needlework, but Hosmet can take the Blast Cone out to safety. And right now for Team Wales, all they're trying to do is just limit the amount of damage that comes through from this Baron push from the side of Team Secret. Here are going to be able to get the first inner tower, and that might be the only inner tower that Team Secret get for the foreseeable future.
It puts it up to 3,500-4,000 gold. It actually puts Hero into a good place because Hero slowly has been able to accrue damage himself. He's got the Duskblade, he's got the Monomune. When he has penetration like the Sorel does or something, he's really going to start hitting like a truck against these 2 marksmen in Glory and Artemis, the primary damage dealers of this team. And there's 1 shield from BJ. He also has the Moonstone, so it's going to be separated a little bit. There's another tower going down too.
Never mind, the foreseeable future has seen another inner tower falling. Kiang using that Nature's Grasp just to zone Team Wales away from that tower. As Glory goes in on to Harsman. No needlework available for Harsman this time, but Harsman is just too strong and Glory's forced to jump out to safety.
Yeah, not the easiest thing in the world trying to manage around that Gwen W, and you can see that where Glory's like, I don't want to walk too far in, I don't want to get into an auto-attacking battle in melee with Hausmed, so just chooses not to do that, even though he's up a little bit of gold here, not too much. 4,000 gold advantage, 5,000 gold advantage, probably 4.5 sitting here for Team Secret after their Baron buff is now going to have been run out. The other thing is that they have the soul point, but it's not the best of soul points. Again, you're always going to take a soul over not taking a soul. You're always going to want to be grabbing that one. And in this case, it's not a bad soul to be able to take, but again, it's not your preference by any standard whatsoever here with the Chemtech. So I don't think it necessarily wins you the game. And so if Team Wales doesn't want to fight it, I don't know that they have to, but the problem is they're already down so much material in the game. To think that they have to give up a soul point or take a fight here is a little bit of a risky proposition where they almost have to find a miraculous fight just to keep the lights on here for the remainder of the game, because otherwise Team Secret might just have too much in the bank.
Daisy has been summoned, a redemption as well. Kiang, though, throws out the Nature's Grasp, and Team Secret starting to look for a fight. Taki over the wall. BJ, though, flashes out to safety. Glory trying to throw out some damage onto Taki, but their Shock Blast picks up the first kill. Buffered rocket jump from Glory to take himself out to safety as Team Secret continue to charge forward. Sparta now in a tricky spot as well. Team Wales, though, will survive with just one member falling, but it is Secret who continue to push forward, and now they have a free path towards that Chemtech Soul.
And they're going to grab it. Like, it's just going to be that simple. Honestly, I almost would have thought that Eddie and Hero would turn around and just go for the mid tower because there's so much health missing off of Artemis that there's no way he can kind of stand resolute against them. But they just decide to go for something consistent. Here, it's Hero. The whole difference is Hero. You can't get your marksman close enough to actually matter. You don't have enough damage in them to be able to rip through Taki, which is completely fair. And it's just a big shock blast that rips through BJ's health bar. Glory doesn't really get punished. Like, Artemis doesn't really get punished. You have multiple buffers, you have spell shields, you have everything else to come through. But the problem is, again, they cannot get far enough up in a fight without walking into Eddie's feathers or walking into hero damage, walking into traps that have been laid by the side of Team Secret. And as a result, it feels like they just have no way to team fight whatsoever.
And while you have been praising Eddie, as I think he should be praised because he's been playing a very good game on Desire, Hero needs to be looked at, because whenever there is a Jace, especially one that's getting a little bit of lethality, team fights can be won so easily just from one well-played shock blast. 10 seconds before you start an objective, you take down those carries down to about half health from just one spell. You don't even need to be present for the rest of the fight. It just makes it so difficult then for Glory on this Tristana, Artemis on the Sivir to play that team fight.
Yeah, and it's not just those two that you're looking at to hit, but you saw in the last fight how, BJ is the jungler and the primary, support instead of an engage or something along those lines, and BJ getting taken out of a fight is equally as bad because it's now we have no shielding, we have no real, way to protect our carries from having a bunch of damage dealt against them, and again, they already have to get so close, you almost need the support of BJ just to ensure that they can have any kind of progress in fights, so when he's removed outright, you lose your smite, and you lose a lot of the defense that you have to try to get your marksman into the right position, which is just it's debilitating to have to deal with that.
Something else I've just realized as well, Team Secret winning this game, but Harsmed is 0-5-1 right now on the Gwen. Poor guy has been absolutely massacred in the side lane through not really much fault of his own. BJ's been ganking a lot. Kiang, though, going for an engage. Nature's Grasp onto Sparta, but it's just so Team Secret can zone Team Wales away and look for another avenue to take their second Baron of the game. And Eddie's just has already started the Baron. It's already down to about half health as Team Wales march their way into the river. Eddie's starting to get a little bit low, but they turn towards a B, who pops down the ultimate to remove the CC. Needlework has been started. Team Secret pushing Wales out of the river once more.
Okay, they're going to try to and fro. I actually think the better setup here was a second ago. Ooh, yeah, the chunking onto Eddie with some of the Qs coming out from Artemis is something that we haven't seen really in other fights. And Eddie is, they're desperate to try to keep his health bar high because he is one of the primary...
Baron secured by the root caller. And Sparta has to sacrifice himself. Wow. Eddie jumping forward, picks up a double kill. Now looking towards BJ, throws out the Featherstorm, locks him down, takes the triple kill as well. And Eddie is on an absolute mission this series.
I swear I thought BJ had landed a Q and it was B that got delivered to 3 or 4 members. So I was like, no way they just got the Alistar into a team fight like that. And I was it was Sparta, and Sparta could not quite do anything, unfortunately, inside of that fight. So as a result, I mean, that's probably the game right there. Like, Glory's gonna TP back, but they're down 3 members. They're gonna lose mid tower easily if they don't lose more than that. Like, I'd be shocked. I'd be really shocked if they don't lose at least an inhibitor, if not more than 1 inhibitor. As Glory's gonna die too. Yeah, that's
He's
probably
trying
the
his
game.
best.
He's doing something. I mean, they just need to respond. They need more range. Last game they did it with the Azir, but the Azir was picked too early. It's like, okay, how do you actually contest the positioning of these members? Because they had an okay early game. They were doing all right. They literally had no way to engage
Caller
a team
under
fight.
tower, Kiang low, and Team Wales are trying to take a desperate fight in their own base, but Team Secret's still coming out of this on top. Eddie is low, but he's still getting the kills. He's still throwing out the feathers, and Team Secret will win yet another fight. Team Secret will take the Nexus, and Team Secret move on to match point.
And Wales has got to figure out how to get these team fights underway. Again, the first game, it felt like execution, but like their composition wasn't great, but also their execution was really off. This game, it was all execution. Like they've got the 2 like marksmen, or it's all like they just don't have the engage. Like you're thinking, oh, we got to deliver Alistar to the opposing team, and then he's got to make all the separation happen. Hey, we got to get we got to get our Cassante into the right place. It just doesn't happen. It never happens over the course of this game. It's astonishing. Not to mention, you look at the damage values, and like even though it was an 0-5 Gwen, 17,000 damage on the Gwen is like 3rd most, 4th most in the game, which is insane to think about. Like Glory did a bit of carrying out of the mid lane position, did just about the same as what Hero did. But again, you're not matching the marksman position because Eddie was just doing so well inside of the fights, cutting off a lot of the head of the pressure here from the side of Wales by just throwing feathers down, and then you can't run into him. Like they just need better team fight design on paper and in terms of executing in game, because that's really where they've been lacking right now on the side of Wales.
Let's be honest as well, you know, after about 25 minutes, there was a very severe wallet diff between the two teams, and it was always going to be incredibly difficult, I want to say, for Team Wales to get back in. Like, yes, Glory, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was about 4K after around 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether you did a pun right there with like Sivir's name and Severe, or if you actually just tried to say Severe and like, didn't realize that there was a pun in there.
It was a happy accident.
Happy accident? Okay,
Happy
that makes
accident,
sense.
yeah.
See, that's what I thought, but I was like, that was kind of clever. I really like that one, and that was the one that wasn't intentional. So you should have just claimed credit while you had a chance.
I should do. I'm just too honest for that. I'm also honest because we're going to be heading into a break, and when we return, we will be breaking down Game 2 and getting ready to head into Game 3 as Team Secret look to take a clean 3-0 against the Wales.
keep it simple. Drop a rock into the water, watch it ripple. Tides turn quick, just keep your head on a swivel. Competition getting stiff, I'm here to make you wiggle. You know me, surround your whole town, make you yell siege. All-star, homie, this the king's speech. You can lock it down, we gon' still preach. Boy, preach. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, get out of your mind. Raise up the lights, we all here tonight, so let's do it right. Yo, we came here to fight. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, this world is mine. Raise up the lights, we all here tonight, so let's do it right. Yo, we came here to fight. Boy, you already know I'm the real wonder. Before I bring the storm, you gonna feel thunder. So your body count is up there with killmongers. How about you come take a look at some real numbers? Might just double up on you while I still slumber. I'm the living proof, I'm just coming through for the thrill of it. Room full of all-stars, we all guys. Somebody gotta be Zeus, I'll take charge. Right. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, get out of your mind. Raise up the lights, we all here tonight, so let's do it right. Yo, we came here to fight. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, this world is mine. Raise up the lights, we all here tonight, so let's do it right. Yo, we came here to fight. Positive, negative, I'll take charge and shake odds, remain great while I pay homage. They always said that pressure can make diamonds, so keep climbing all the way up, that's where you'll find me. Right next to the legends, I go off my brethren, said goodbye to the old me. I'ma make sure that you know me. After this here, you gon' own me. Didn't choose a game, it chose me. You know what G-O means to an OG, let's go. Fight, who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, get out of your mind. Raise up the lights, we all here tonight, so let's do it right. Yo, we came here to fight. Who's next in line? Can you make that climb? Now is the time, this world is mine.
Welcome back to an analyst desk, I guess, because we are still trying to figure out the pauses and stuff. So a little bit of pre-game this time, and maybe a bit of post-game mixed in there as well. I'm back on the desk with my two lovely casters, and we just saw one of the most chaotic games I've watched in a very long time. Yes, I've been absent from VCS, and it's giving me whiplash here, because what was going on in the mid-game? Please, what in the world? That sequence where everyone just died and the camera tried to catch up, and then first Taki just roamed around the top lane in a tower somewhere for reasons unknown to man, and then bot lane just died at the same time because Cassandra was too lazy to press W, and then mid lane somehow the jungler died to try to 1v1 as Ivan against Jace. What in the world was happening here?
If I could just jump in on that, in fairness to the teams, it was a 30-second period or a 1-minute period. Aside from that, the game was very standard, or I should say, by VCS standards, it was incredibly tame. And I think it just goes to show just how long we've been away from the VCS. That we see that 30-second clip and we're like, oh my god, this is insane, what's going on?
Yeah, to me, actually, I think the most impressive part about that little sequence is that we actually had pretty decent replay timers and observing for that. Because in the past, if we had something like that, we would have seen like somebody CSing, and we're like, why are there 8 kills on the board that just like weren't there before? VCS stepped up their game, and like we got to see all of those plays in tandem, didn't miss any live action, and also got good observing for all of them. So again, props to VCS production because they're doing great.
I mean, in general, big props to them. Looking at their broadcast, they have stepped up big time. They have a long analyst desk, great sections in between, interviews before the game. So if you speak to Vietnamese, tell us how they're doing, how you enjoy their upgraded product. Because a while back we had way longer analyst desks than the official stream, so it's good to see them stepping up their game. But what do we think about Wales' chances now that they're 0-2? They haven't won a game in a series in how long, Milky?
Since the 21st of July. Or 22nd.
I mean, not quite a month
ago.
So it's not actually that bad. It's not quite a month, and they haven't played in like 2 weeks, so I feel like it's...
I mean, it is 4 series in a row, to be fair.
That's true, yeah. Well, I don't really see big chances. After watching that game, I was so convinced by their draft. Their early game went well. I was really impressed by BJ's early pathing and his play of Ivan. I actually wanted to say something along the lines of, if BJ played Ivan last year, they would have won against Gam. But then it all went to... Yeah, it all didn't
Oh.
really go their way. So, well, I will not say that officially, and we are very close to draft in game number 3. Rebel, maybe? Do you have any champion you feel like that could help Wales as we head onto the draft stage?
From what I can see, they are not team fighting well. Like, I think they might just need to dump the idea of like playing the pure 5-on-5, and they should just play for some of the early game, because their early game went a lot better. Their laning phase in the mid was going really well. I think Glory was playing some solid play. When BJ has this controlled pathing and kind of knows what he's doing and is microing the entire map, it feels like they had a lot more in the tank than what they did when they're just playing for like mid and late game when they're playing against this team that's set up for the big team fight. So don't play the big team fight. Smash all 3, draft lanes that crush all 3 lanes, and just play for early advantage. That's the best I can do for you, because right now it doesn't seem like they're being super competitive when it comes to just like team fighting. So I wouldn't even play that style. Just don't do it.
And I think one big problem they're facing right now is that Artemis is getting outperformed by Eddie, which is a completely insane statement to me, as Artemis should be like 3 tiers above Eddie and should win every exchange in the ADC matchup, but that's just not the reality today.
Blasphemy.
Eddie just is playing better than Artemis, and honestly, Artemis is playing really badly, but Eddie is also playing rather well, utilizing all the engages from his team and dishing out insane amounts of damage. So Eddie is doing his job, Artemis really is not. So I'm not entirely sure how they can overcome this disadvantage in their star position, right? Artemis is supposed to be the carry of this team.
I want to jump in on this because we have seen Eddie. Now, I know we've always had a bit of, a down view on Eddie, but his Zaya has always been one of his best champions, if not his best champion. His Zeri's also been relatively decent. Now the Zaya's banned, this maybe is the real litmus test for Eddie. How does he do when that Zaya is off the guard? Something else I want to throw to you, Rebel, is I know Vayne has always been this bit of a counter against Kai'Sa. Do you see maybe it getting picked up, especially when there is something like the Maokai already locked in for Team Wales?
No, I don't think so. I don't want to see that, because the whole purpose of Eddie is playing as a team fighter, and the thing that connects all of his main champions is that they usually have some kind of self-peel, because usually it was because he liked to play super defensive. Now it's because he needs an escape, and he's pretty good at using it to escape because he knows how to. He just used to do it too early. But then also he always has through damage. That's why like his Zeri had some of the most insane stats behind it, because all he would do is throw in team fights and just win big team fights on like 3 items, and so his stats looked insane. But if you chopped off the first 15 minutes of any game, he did like less than damage than any other ADC in the entire game. So it's like, now that he doesn't have those, I don't think going to a single target marksman is going to do any favors for their team fighting or for the way that they're winning. They should find somebody that's going to do something similar. I think Ashe is actually a really good choice. I think Ashe is an insane ADC when it comes to damage output, and especially with all these meta champions taken off the board against the Kai'Sa, you can kind of play an oppressive laning phase, especially now that you have the Taki support Rumble on the board.
Do we know where that Rumble is going though yet?
I just said where it's going.
I'm doubtful. I'm a doubter.
It's gone to jungle this split too. So we've had top and jungle rumble this split. So it is possible that it's a 3-way flex, but I doubt it. It's probably going to husband.
I mean, into the Alistar, I can actually see it working in the bot lane, because it's just gonna burn that cow to a steak. But I would want to see it in top lane, because it's just a really, really strong top lane. It kind of just wins all the matchups, especially in the early game. So maybe helps Hasmet out, because Hasmet has been the one player in the last 2 games that leaves you with some concerns for their chances, because O5 Gwen, not something you want to see. Kind of continuing on a spring form where he was the anchor that held down SGB's success for the most part. But we see Eddie's Ezreal, which is something he's played a bit in the past. I feel like it's not quite in the same vein as the other champs so far in this series, where he has been very aggressive, flashing forwards on Zaya, setting up the getting the pentakill on the Zeri, actually sliding over walls and stuff. So a little bit more defensive. As we actually, Rebel, what do you think? What do we have here for Team Secret? They picked the Renekton, so that's not a top lane rumble. Is it gonna be the support rumble?
I think it's a support rumble. I really do. If not, it's going to end up being rumble jungle, and it's going to be like the Rel in the bot lane. But I think with the Alistar down there, you are much better to have the rumble down there. And I think they actually did pull a fast one over top of Wales.
We can't actually see it because they put away the draft so early, so it's a little bit of a surprise coming up.
I mean, you guys had me at some nice roasted barbecued steak, so I'm all down to see the Rumble in the support role. Rebel, you called it, you expected it, it's coming through. We've got Alistair, we've got Renekton. It's VCS. It's a quintessential VCS.
We're catching up on everything, and now also I think more than ever, Team Secrets, at least if I recall their composition together, like with the Rel still has some team fighting capabilities, with the Rumble still has some team fighting capabilities. I think this is the worst of their 3 5v5 comps. And so if Team Wales wants to try it, this is going to be the only game they're going to probably, or it's going to be the first of the games where they're going to have a better chance than they did previously, because they've kind of been designed around 5-on-5s the first 2. This isn't nearly as much. I think they played a little bit more for the lane draft this time, with the side swap going over blue side now.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a little bit concerned with Eddie on a more defensive champion now. Maybe he just keeps on jumping in and being insanely aggressive, even on the Ezreal. That would be really fun to watch. And I think Ezreal Rumble actually has insane all-in potential if they put the Rumble in the bot lane. But we are on the Rift, and the Secret is going to be revealed very soon. So let's see if Secret, the Team Secret, can actually complete the sweep as we head into game number 3, potentially the last of the day.
Thank you very much for that, Yolway. On to the Rift we go. And, every now and then, Rebel, we like to joke about, what is the secret of Team Secret? And for this series, it's Eddie popping off. The question is, can he do it? And I like the term that you used before, not being on a single target damage ADC, because right now he's on a single target damage ADC as Kiang just having a feel of Team Wales' jungle.
Yeah, Kiang walked in. So it is actually the Rumble jungle, which is of interest. I still think personally it would have been better to have the Rumble bot lane because you can punish the Alistar. But again, they're the ones that drafted it. The whole point of the Rumble is it helps bridge some of the team fighting deficit that you had previously, because you don't play a mage in the mid lane, you end up playing the Rumble in the jungle. And then you can go back to Tristana here for hero, which is more AD focused, more AD inclined champion that he's going to be comfortable with. Now, on to the topic of Eddie. This is Eddie's worst champion. I'm going to say that outright because it's single target and he plays like a bitch. That's what happens. I'm just going to say it outright. That's what's happened. Every time he plays this champion, he is 100 years away from the team fight. He hits like 1 Q and that's it. If you've ever seen Deft play this champion, he plays the opposite of Deft. He is never in effective range. He is not putting out the damage. He's not auto-attacking. He does badly. This is your litmus test. If Eddie has a chance to play and revert back to his old ways of not playing aggressively, this is the champion he's going to do it on. But if, like Yolway said, and he starts jumping in and playing aggressively and finding picks and going crazy, building Gale Force, doing all this fun stuff, if he can do that on this champion, I am now convinced that Eddie has taken the step and actually developed as a player.
Well, if Eddie can prove his biggest doubter, Rebel Fox, that he is a changed man, this is his chance to do it. And I was going to talk about, I personally feel that in terms of like snowballing ADCs, I think Ezreal is one of the biggest ones. And hear me out on this, because I know you have champions like Jinx that just become absolute monsters, right? But whenever you see those really good Ezreals, like you mentioned, Deft, and I saw a bit of, I think it was Jack Spectra in the NLC, they get these kills and they just throw out Q after Q from millions of miles away and they just chunk you down to no health. And there's nothing you can do for teamfights. It's like having a Jace, but even stronger and more, and being able to throw out those Qs far more frequently.
Yeah, Ezreal's expertise is like the expertise curve on an Ezreal is just absurd. Like the ability to kind of zone away, the ability to space properly on this champion, to be in what I would call effective range, is so different between somebody who doesn't play Ezreal that often and someone who plays it at like an expert level. And again, you ever watch somebody who's a really good Ezreal player versus somebody who isn't, you can see a world of difference between the two. And again, this has never to me been the specialty of somebody like Eddie. Eddie has used it as a defensive champion, which is more like, hey, I can put out damage, but more so our marksman's always going to be alive, right? We are always going to have a consistent damage DPS backbone to be able to use, because nobody's going to be able to touch him. When in reality, the champion can be used in such much more aggressive, much more effective ways that I'm hoping to see here today. And like you said, again, when you get somebody expert on it, they can really, really make the champion look like it is one of the best, if not the best marksman that the game has in its grips, even more so than some of the hyper carries that you would have in other circumstances.
And I just want to quote something from the greatest coach of all time, Hanke, who is watching this in the chat, which is the fact that Team Secret, they didn't pick their ADC in the first phase, or they didn't first pick it. And with Kai'Sa open, they said, okay, Team Wales, you take this Kai'Sa pick.
Yeah.
We have something ready for that. And the answer that they had waiting was this Ezreal. So I'm now feeling a lot more hype to see what Eddie has in store for us with this Ezreal pick. So far, it's going relatively well in the bottom lane, but that's just laning phase things.
Yeah, do notice also that, like, a lot of times Ezreal will go first strike because you can get some really dirty first strike gold by hitting, like, a WEQ onto somebody, especially because it's targeted after your E goes off. Like, you don't have to aim it. But he's gone Conqueror instead because he's going to try to be this consistent damage, but be this, like, auto-attacking Q monster that hopefully he's going to be able to show up with. And they're playing around it. Look at this. This is just a lane gank from Kiang.
Taki just dives in. First blood secured by Team Secret. Kiang is low. Eddie throwing out the autos onto Artemis. Can he get the kill? Kiang is low. Eddie flashes forward. Can't get the kill. BJ has found one. And now they're trying to turn to get a kill back. But it's a double kill over onto BJ. Eddie just needs to land the final Mystic Shot. Can he do it? Yes, he can. And Eddie picks up a kill in the bottom lane.
Okay, very, very heavy aggression coming through from Team Secret. It is a 2-for-2, but one of those kills goes on to Ezreal, and top lane, we get a solo kill from Hazmet. This is the other place on the map where we are looking for a little bit more advantage coming out from Team Secret, and they make it happen as Hazmet gets that solo against the Jax. So this is just... that was bullying. They literally walked 3 members under bottom tower, no nuance, no secrecy, no guile, just, we're ganking, like... do something about it. And they couldn't. They didn't do anything about it. Like, what are you supposed to do in this circumstance? We're going to see the top lane rekill. Let's see what happens here. Okay, Sparta, does he have Counter-Strike? Like, he must have just burnt his Counter-Strike. Yeah, he must have just burnt his Counter-Strike is what happened. So Hazbet just found him on a bad cooldown timer right there. But with the kills going into Eddie, again, you're going to go to Sheen really quickly. You're going to go into your Monomune really quickly. Like, you're going to have your item breakpoints very fast on this Ezreal, which is a great place to be.
I thought that bot lane dive was going to go so badly wrong. Even though they got the first kill, Kiang and Taki going that low, that quickly, looked so bad. But Eddie wasn't able to land any Mystic Shots onto Artemis because Artemis very sensibly just stood behind his wave. Either way, Team Secret, 1.5k gold lead at the moment. I'm not exactly sure where that gold is. I'm assuming a fair bit of it is on Kiang because he did get that first blood.
Yeah, you got the first blood, and also you got a second kill as well. So that's going to be one place that it's going to be. But outside of that, it should just be advantages completely to the opposite side. Because there's 2 plates off the mid tower, too. Something that we missed is that Hero knocked Glory down to, like, 200 health, and then took 2 full plates before he just got jumped on again. As they're not even going to kill Hazmet. Like,
gank towards the top side. Hazmed uses the Dominus, maybe a little bit too aggressively. Counter-Strike locked him down in place, and I thought maybe Team Wales would try to still get the kill, but in the end, BJ just backs away.
Yeah, a few things about this game right now. I actually don't love the fact that Artemis is going for, like, the AD build. You could always pivot it to, like, go into Nashers and you go with some other stuff. But I would have preferred the AP build because then he has, like, the AP Kai'Sa with the Jace, and then it's like, okay, I know the AP Kai'Sa build's not quite as good as it was before, but then they become siege engines, and then again, they don't necessarily have to 5-on-5 fight. Instead, they can just contest Tristana and Ezreal from a range, and even Rumble from, like, a much further range than normally applicable outside of when his Equalizer's up. But, like, they're just not doing that. Instead, Artemis wants to play this hyper-aggressive dive-in style, and I just don't know that it's going to work out. It's going to be a lot harder to play in this one, I think.
Dive towards the bot side. I say dive is just an engage. Kiang is here as well with the Equalizer. Artemis goes in with a Killer Instinct, tries to get a kill onto Taki and will be able to do that, but surely he just dies in a 1v2. Who gets gifted the kill? It's a double kill for the jungler, and Kiang on the Rumble is getting very strong indeed.
Yeah, Kiang collecting a couple of kills right there, really massive. Not to mention Eddie is going to end up picking up some additional gold off the back of this tower going down. I mean, Team Secret, this is the best early game they've actually had, which is astonishing because this is 3 games in. They layer a bunch of CC into B, and I actually really appreciate B and Artemis are able to kind of clean up Taki on the back end of this one and made it look a little bit rough because they had to split very quickly. But again, the outnumber made it so simple. And even Eddie versus Artemis, I think, is just winning for Eddie here without the additional damage from Kiang. But Kiang picking up 2 more kills, and again, picking up an additional turret plate or two onto your Ezreal feels amazing because all of your damage is getting ahead in this game. Like, Hero is the least ahead, and he's the one that broke 2 turret plates on his lonesome without any assistance from the jungle whatsoever. Like, this is a world of difference, Team Secret. Again, literally 3 weeks ago, this team is just like throwing random games. They're losing games to bottom tier teams. It's just they didn't look like they were up to snuff. And then again, I think it's just the substitution of Hero and finally getting all of their pieces into place and being able to work on that for the entire back half of the split has really it's made this team into a completely different animal.
Well, Team Secret are looking feisty indeed, and Team Wales are looking like a shadow of their former selves from the start of Summer Split. 3-1 right now for Kiang on this Rumble. And another kind of fun point that I wanted to bring up, and I know we talked a little bit about it before we came live, was the fact that B and Taki are two of, like, you know, the monoliths of supports in the VCS. They have played a total of, well, now 5 series in playoffs in the VCS. And Taki has only won a series once, which was 2022 Summer Split, where I think they won one of the earlier rounds of playoffs, 3-2 against Gam, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that. Yeah, they were able to. They played up against Gam. They won 3-2 or 3-1 up against Gam, and it was the first time that we had really seen in winners final anybody take down Gam before getting into that position, and it's what qualified them to be able to go to that tournament. The international tournament that they had attended, which was pretty cool. It was really hype at the time, and a lot of that was off the back of some real ingenuity out of the bottom lane position, where it was like, okay, it was like Taki and Shogun at the time that were doing quite a bit of work on the bottom side. And funny enough, when Gam came back and beat them in the final, a large reason why they did that was by beating their bot lane down into submission and not allowing them to get away with that stuff. So seeing this matchup yet again, having 2 of our most talented kind of again on some of the top level teams, doesn't surprise me in the slightest. But now it's Taki who's getting the better of the B matchup here. And whether or not that's a byproduct of the rest of the team or whatever it is, it's nice to see Taki finally kind of really contesting B in that avenue, especially in a playoff setting.
Well, either way, a fantastic start for Team Secret. We're 1.5 minutes away from the second Drake of the game, and Team Secret have absolutely snowballed this early game at 2,000 gold ahead. And when you want to set up for an objective, having a Rumble that's 3-1 with an equalizer is a fantastic way to go about getting your second Drake.
Yeah, makes it difficult to kind of get into the river, because even if you are in opposition to the Rumble and you have control of the river, he can kind of shove you out with the equalizer, and if you're not, he can cut you off from entering. So there's again, Rumble's just an absolutely amazing champion. Got buffed recently, not recently as in patch, but like within this meta has become much more prevalent than what he was before that. And it's really cool to see people starting to pick him up, because for the longest time, nobody really had a bunch of experience. That's very bad.
Equalizer just to stop Artemis from dashing away, and that means that Team Secret can just 2v1 the Kai'Sa. Artemis uses the killer instinct as well, but will still die. 4 kills now for Kiang on this Rumble.
And the number of times now that Eddie has just been able to bait out fights on the bottom side against Artemis that have been cleaned up by Kiang. I mean, that's the 3rd gank down there, and they have picked up 5 kills as a result of those 2.
Oh, Hero jumps forward, and that's exactly what Beanchay was watching and waiting for. But Hero, in the end, is able to reset his rocket jump and jump back out to safety.
I mean, they gave a bot side pressure for that. The Dragon's going to be available. They let the reset timer come through for Taki and Eddie and Kiang, and they're going to be able to redeploy now into this Dragon Pit, while Hero he didn't even get hit by the Maokai ultimate. He just walked away. He's going to break mid tower for free. This is first tower of the game, going over to Hero, who's done it all on his lonesome. See, that's the thing, is we're talking about Eddie, we're talking about Kiang ganking to the bottom lane, the solo kill for Hosmed. Hero has not had a kill yet, but he is up 15, 16 CS. He's like 2.5 waves ahead, and has a full tower to his name, with only the Rift Herald having been supplanted by Kiang. That's insane to think about. Like, Hero, he's living up to his name for this squad, because again, in the middle of the split, having Artifact like fall off the face of the earth and really not feel like he was like the MVP performer that they needed on a team to succeed, felt really bad. Didn't feel like they had a replacement, and then Hero stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, I'll get it done. I'll be the solo laner that you can rely on. We've got Hosmed now. I want to show that I'm valuable to the team. And being this insane mid laner for them it's been so nice to watch, because it felt like Hero got mildly disrespected, that like he was going to split time with Hosmed. They're going to see who's going to do better, and Hero stepping into mid lane instead and just being a better player. It warms your heart a little bit.
And let's not forget as well, in Game 2, it was Glory who was playing the Tristana, and it was Hero who was on this Jace. And yes, Glory had a slight advantage, but he wasn't really able to do much. Now with the cards reversed, Hero has taken this matchup to a whole different level, which is kind of more what we were expecting to see in Game 2. So again, a fantastic performance from Hero so far in this game. And sure, he doesn't have any kills to show for it. He's only got a 10 CS lead, but it is the fact that that first tower is down with practically no intervention from Kiang.
Yeah, I mean, if you show the gold, I mean, he's probably got 3 or 4 solo plates to his name. So, like, whether or not he has the kill doesn't really matter. He probably has a kill or 2 kills worth of gold. Yeah, look at that. 9 turret plates. I think 4 of them were solo plates exclusively to Hero, because I don't think the Rift Herald...
No.
Oh,
yeah,
the Rift
Herald was mid, yeah.
Yeah, so he split 2, so he got 1 from those 2, and then he got 3 extra, so there were 4. So he got 4 plates worth of gold out of the mid lane tower, which is insane to think about, that the Tristana was able to do that against the Jace with basically no additional jungle pressure outside of just the Rift Herald being popped. And you can see Team Secret's now, like, literally care about accelerating the Ezreal. The Tristana's already strong enough. Like, you're going to be on 2 items probably after this back right now, and that means Hero is already commanding side lane pressure, already commanding this demolition structure that you're looking for inside of a game like this.
But again, going back to that little point that we brought up with regards to Jace, when Glory gets a couple of items on this Jace, if he can find those big shock blasts, he can chunk down some of the members of Team Secrets, the squishy members, the likes of Hero, the likes of Eddie, to make those fights a little bit easier for them. That being said, they're playing into a 5,000 gold deficit. They're going to be playing against another Rift Herald deficit as well. So the clock is ticking for Team Wells. They need to be able to find some way back into this game, because they can't just hope to sit back and say, hey, we'll just try to scale until we get to 5-6 items, because the game's going to be well over by that point.
I mean, the funny thing is, if they had played for the poke strategy, they actually could have maybe relied on it, because you could have had, like, again, if you go Demonic on BJ, and you've got Glory with a bunch of AD damage, and you've got Artemis with, like, a poke build, again, they're all from range. There's nobody that's sustaining these champions up. They are just taking damage, and there's nothing else that you can really do about it. So it's like, why was that not option number 1 here for the side of Team Wales? Why are they going for this, like, hard team fighting style instead of going for the very obvious, very safe poking build, which never would have fallen off in a game like this? They go for, like, again, the Jace is going to be able to do that, like you said, against some of the marksmen. But again, even Kai'Sa can do that with the AP build and being able to pop people. But now with the AD build, I mean, you're just relying on jumping in and being able to clean up some of the damage that comes through from the Maokai and from the Jace, which I just don't think is going to work out nearly as well as you want it to. And as a result, Wales, again, they have to play a lot more aggressive of a style to try to make it work, to try to make their composition do what it's supposed to be doing. And I just don't think that they're going to have the ability to do so.
Well, you've got to try to play aggressively against Kiang with 4 kills and a Night Harvester, against Hero, who has picked up all 3 outer towers. Now, he's so accelerated on this Tristana, it is ridiculous. His second item is probably going to be completed once he does eventually reset.
Yeah, I mean, he is devastating towards some of the side lane towers. And again, he also did the non-Kraken Slayer. He went for the static shift. You can see that's Kiang dropping Glory to half health. He needs reinforcement from Artemis and BJ just to not lose the tower on his lonesome. And that's the power of Kiang dropping the equalizer from basically nowhere. I mean, look where he's at right now. He's in the opposing jungle. B's going to try to chase him out, but it's just not going to matter. And how much pressure does that free up on the map? That means bottom lane is free to push in, mid lane is free to push in. I mean, Secret just kind of controls everything right now, and there's nothing that can be done. Third Dragon is going to be a Hextech. That's going to set them up for Hextech Soul for Eddie to be able to apply with super safe abilities, and Rumble to be able to apply with super safe abilities. And again, the only person contesting that consistently is Jace. It's just... I don't think it's in the cards. Honestly, I don't think Wales has a way back into this game if they just give up the soul at all. Like I don't see where they're getting back in.
Well, I think the way back into this is what do we call it? The lower bracket.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that might just be their best bet.
Which feels really horrible to say, but things are going badly for Team Wells, and they might get even worse. The True Shot Barrage lands as well from the other side of the map. There is nothing Sparta can do. The Ignite drop for some extra damage. Surely that's the kill. It is indeed, and Taki will take his first kill of the game. Maybe his first kill of the series, actually.
Bottom inner also going to go down to the combination of Hero and Shirley popping out here. And there's no one here on the defense of the inhibitor tower either, so they're just going to lose that too. Only now is there a Jace backing. Alistar is going to be here as well, but like that, Alistar's not going to be able to stop this. So that's bottom inhibitor tower, and they can still go back to Hextech Dragon anytime they want. And mid push is still there because Eddie's. They did not just let that happen. I guess the inhibitor.
Wait, are they going to let the inhibitor go?
No, there's no.
I think
way.
they are. Yeah.
They should not do that. I'm sorry, they should not do that. That's a bad decision. There are
sometimes
times.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are times where allowing minions to flood into your base is better because you can free farm. It pushes up faster than normal. This is not one of those times.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes until the opposing team with a better, like typical range, better average range than your team is
And
going to
good
have
speed.
a Hextech Soul and good speed and a lot of solid engage and lengthy damage because you have Kiang's ultimate to deal with. Is just going to be able to drop a brick on your head anytime you want. That's not the play. You're not playing for the long game here. You needed to play more for the short game. Like you cannot play for the inhibitor not being up. And like now, what are you?
And
are you hoping
Team
that
Wales? Team Wales
go
don't
ahead.
exactly have a wave clear composition. This isn't
No, they don't.
Sivir for Artemis. This isn't an Azir or Syndra in the mid lane. This is a Jace and a Kai'Sa. They're not going to be able to deal with this wave that is going to flood through bottom lane.
No, the person you almost want on that wave at all times is going to be Glory, who's at 207 farm right now, which is pretty good for where we're at in the game. It's over 10 CS a minute. But, like, he's the only one you should have down there. He's the only person that warrants dropping the inhibitor and putting the gold into, because you need extra lethality, extra AD to be able to pop these marksmen.
Will Hazmed be able to win this 1v1? No, he's just going to back away as another tower is taken. An
Dude.
equalizer drop down onto Glory. He flashes away. That will not save him. It's another kill for Kiang, who has been absolutely incredible this game. Headbutt pulverize. Here comes the Nature's Grasp, but buffering his jump hero out to safety and still throwing out the autos. Mystic shots following as well. Team Wales will not be able to get a kill, and it is just Team Secret who picked themselves up a kill and now are making their way over to the Baron.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like, it feels like Wales is just dropping to the lower bracket here. I don't know what it is about today, but like I know they haven't won a series, but at minimum over the last couple of weeks of like the regular season, outside of GAM, where they had a pretty good game number 1 and then kind of a pretty bad game number 2, and it wasn't the worst series of all time. They won every first game and then lost the rest of the series from there. They didn't even do that in this one. Like they didn't even take a game. They kind of weren't even close in most of these games to taking any sort of competition, which is so astonishing. I don't know whether that speaks to the level that Wales is playing at, or whether that speaks to Team Secret just being infinitely more dominant than we could have ever expected them to be. But it seems like they're going to be our number 2, and I'm kind of happy because again, they walked in as the 5 seed in this tournament, and that feels super underrated for how good that we expected this team to be walking into the split. Like with Hero or like with Artifact and with Hazmed as the addition with Eddie and Taki, it's like, okay, this should be a top 3 team. And then they got like dropped to 5th, and it's like, oh, okay, they wouldn't have made playoffs if we went to a 4-team format. You could see just how bad it would have been if this would have been a 14 format and this team did not make it in. They are crushing the number 2 seed right now.
And just a reminder, Team Secret had pretty much this same composition in spring. They only came 7th in the regular split. But that's a catch on Tataki. Killer Instinct to follow. Glory does get the kill. It's a member that you wanted to see getting kills, Rebel, but Team Secret, they want to fight. Equalizer's going to burn B down to half health. There might only be 3 of them, but it does not matter. A teleport to follow through as well. Actually, I think the teleport got cancelled, and Team Secret are just destroying Team Wales where they stand. It's more kills for Eddie, more kills for Team Secret. It's going to be more towers for Team Secret, and a 3rd game in the series as Team Secret will absolutely rinse Team Wales. The Wales drought continues for their 5th series, and Team Secret will be meeting GAM in the upper bracket finals.
23 or 22 minute game. That is insane. This Team Secret only got better as the entire game, as like the series went on. You could see just how happy that they were at the end there. This team played incredible today. Wales was not up to snuff. Like, Wales did not have a good day. I don't think it took much for Team Secret to be able to win this series. But the fact that not only was Team Wales not playing good League of Legends, but the fact that Team Secret was playing immaculately, they're on point. They're spiking at the right time. If I were GAM, I would actually be a little bit worried. Like, Team Secret looked like they were really on form, and they've got some players that have beaten them in the past. So I would not be shocked if GAM had to put their real thinking caps on to ensure that they don't end up falling in this series, because Team Secret was looking really good.
And the other thing I want to bring up as well, if we bring your way back into the equation and have our little analyst desk once more, is the fact that Team Secret, they're starting to be on a roll. But I'm looking at Team Wales. They've now lost 5 series back to back. Surely this is the point where, as the players, as the whole team, they're going to be starting to feel those nerves massively. And now they're in a do or die series against Cerberus, who, don't forget, took 2 games out of Team Secret last week.
I just realized I was not unmuted on stream. You could hear me, but the stream couldn't. So I'm very sorry. This is my first production in a while. So what I was talking about was once again the point of Team Wales being on a downward trajectory in terms of performance. They have lost now 5 series in a row, I believe. They didn't even win a single game today, and honestly, the games got progressively worse. They started off with a really bad draft, and I was kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt, right? I was arguing, okay, their draft was a little bit of hubris. They just tried to do something fancy in game 1. That's fine in a best of 5. Then game 2, they played meta. The most meta draft you can ever see in this patch, and played worse than in game 1. And then game 3 is a 22-minute stomp. So I don't know. It just looks like their mental is shattered. It looks like the players are not performing up to the standard we're setting them. We're expecting from them. Looking at Laurie, he got wrecked by Hero of all people in mid lane. In a matchup there, okay, it is Tristana favored, but it shouldn't be this Tristana favored, right? Not from the get-go, not from with no counterplay whatsoever. And he got dominated. Eddie played way better. Kiyoung dominated Bean J, which shouldn't be the case either. So like, it's just a complete collapse from Wales, and I'm really worried for them. I want this team to succeed. They have so many exciting players, and not playing well.
And again, to go on that point, you look at Team Wales and you look at 2 of their star players, I want to say, which is Glory and Artemis. And you look at the teams that they've been on when they've done well, it's when those 2 players in particular are performing well, right? When Glory hasn't been performing well on whatever team he's on, same for Artemis, those teams do badly. That's how it is. If those players don't perform well, the team does badly. And we saw in game 1, Glory and Artemis played fine in game 1. Then game 2, game 3, bad. And again, I think it is that tilt. I think it's the fact that they know they've not won a series for so long. They've forgotten how to win. And I know it sounds like so cliche to say, but those thoughts can settle into a player's mind. And when they settle, as I think they are now, it is so hard to get out of that rut. And they desperately, desperately need to win a series.
Just because something has been said a lot doesn't mean it's not true, right? Momentum is a thing, and especially here in League, where the games are so short and everything is about performance on the day. Momentum can play a huge role, and that's also why we talk about players who are kind of resistant to that kind of tilt or momentum so much. If you think about the old SGB team, that very often actually just got stomped in game 1 or something and then came back. Against Secret, it comes to mind where SGB looked pretty bad on the day, and they still won 3-2 when everyone expected them to. So maybe Wales just didn't go for enough SGB players, because they have split up there everywhere. And today, 2 SGB players on Team Secret against 1 SGB player on Wales. It's easy.
You know what's also insane is thinking about the fact that in the first round of playoffs, Cerberus played this Team Secret, the same Team Secret team, and they went 5 full games. Like, it had to be a reverse sweep coming out from Team Secret in order to actually win the series. Do you think that Cerberus is playing this good too? Like, is Cerberus just like low key absolutely nuts right now? And like, are they about to run Saigon Buffalo's fade in like out of nowhere?
I mean, maybe they're the 2 best teams, no? Because Cerberus won against Gum and Wales in the last week as well. So maybe Cerberus and Team Secret are actually the world's representatives.
It might just be. Like, I doubt we're gonna get anything that crazy to come out here, but it is kind of insane to think about that Team Secret now has put it into a place where like Wales plays Flash next week. Flash was like the 6th best team in the league. Like, Wales was the 2nd best team in the league. That's who they're playing in order to continue on in playoffs. And a performance like this...
It's Wales against Cerberus. Flash against Saigon Buffalo, I think.
No.
I think.
That's wrong.
Is it not? Okay, Leaguepedia is lying to me. Fair enough.
Yeah, you're wrong. It should be the higher seed versus the lower seed. That's how, in theory, it should be, unless they decided to make it so that if Team Secret lost, or whoever lost the Team Secret series is automatically not against Cerberus because of the fear that Team Secret would have to play them again. But because they didn't lose, it shouldn't matter. It should just be the higher seed, whatever it is. Either way, doesn't matter. Whatever the playoff thing is, this performance from Wales makes us a little bit worried about what happens in the longevity of things. So they're playing Cerberus or they're playing Flash. And either way, like, they're not going to make it easy on this team. Like, this team is not going to have a simple win. Something has to light underneath of Wales to get them better off in playoffs. Like, yeah, I'm not even worried about Team Secret. Team Secret, to me, after this performance, probably has Gam sweating more than Gam wants to. I'm sweating for Wales a lot worse now that we know that they're dropping to the bottom bracket and they had a performance like this. That's what terrifies me far more than anything else.
There's a very silly narrative that actually Hanka brought to my attention, which is Team Secret only plays on Sundays, and they apparently are insane on Sundays. And with the win today, they secured another date on Sunday, right? They're gonna play on Sunday next week because that's where round 4 is played against GAM. So now GAM has to play not only against the 6-game winning streak.
Sunday again.
Yeah. They have to play against the 6-game winning streak from Secret, but they also have to play against Sunday Secret. So I'm not sure. I think GAM's just maybe they're just doomed.
I mean, to be honest, we've been talking for a while about who's going to, remove GAM from, their empire, and we thought, it's going to be Saigon Buffalo. Yeah, Cerberus won Winter Split, but we all like to pretend Winter Split didn't happen, and then we thought, maybe it's going to be this resurgence of SBTC. Okay, to be honest, I was the only one who thought that. Then I thought, Team Wales have this super team. Maybe it's going to be Secret, but in the end, we always know GAM have plot armor, and they're going to win the split anyway, right? Right?
Maybe the Sunday plot armor is stronger. We're going to find out next week.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I just want to go back to that point on Team Wales. And you know how at the start of Split, sometimes we do the podcast where we do like 50-50, 10%, 90%. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. If it is Team Wales against Cerberus, I think Wales are out. If Team Wales play against Flash, I think Flash, considering that they were, the 6th place team in regular split or 7th place team and just got in, I think Wales can use Flash to kind of remember how to play League properly and get that as enough of a confidence booster to run the gauntlet.
Maybe. I mean, they need to win game 1, I feel like. They really need to come in.
Yes.
Play their best draft they have available. Try to put everything they have in practice that works onto the Rift in game number 1 and win game 1. Because I feel like if you lose another game to start of the series, that's going to be really dangerous. You just come off getting stomped by the 5th seed. You go into the 6th seed and you lose game 1. I think that's really dangerous. So I feel like Wales really has to concentrate on game number 1. Come out swinging, stop all the momentum, all the downswing, and just play with a fresh mind, I guess, in the next series. But yeah, it's going to be dangerous. And the turnover time is not long because they played today on Sunday, the latest possible day in round 2. And now they're going to play on either Friday or Saturday. So they only have half a week to prepare and scrim, right?
Not a lot of time. Your way. Do you want to wrap things up? Because I can't think of anything more to talk about at this point.
Yeah, it's a 3-0 for Team Secret. They looked very impressive. There's an interview with, I believe, Taki and Hasmid going on right now. So once again, I'm gonna have to bring up my SGB storyline because they're just the protagonist of the league. You can't convince me otherwise. It's SGB against Gamma. Now SGB tries to divide and conquer all their players on different teams, and now maybe this was actually the move they needed all along to overcome the demons of GAM. Next Sunday is going to be the big upper bracket match, and actually whoever wins that match between Secret and GAM is going to be qualified to Worlds, or play-ins at least number 2 seed. So with that's our big anticipation for next week, but of course we have round number 2 lower bracket matches as well on Friday and Saturday. I hope we can cover all the matches. Probably can. So stay tuned for updates on the VCS English stream and check us out on social media. Thank you very much, Rebel and Milky, especially Rebel, for taking over because I didn't have the time to prepare. Lovely. For you stepping in and bringing us all the knowledge about the VCS when we were slacking and kind of forgetting about our league. So that's the 3-0 for Secret. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next week.